Chapter 789 Kingdom Level Soldier Type. Yellow Gold Tier God Attendant. In the world of Galaxy Number 7, King of Yellow Gold's camp, nearly 1 billion Yellow Gold King soldiers were stationed here. However, even though there were many King of Yellow Gold soldiers, this place did not seem crowded. The King of Yellow Gold soldiers had plenty of space to train, exercise, entertain and rest here. At this moment, all the King of Yellow Gold soldiers' bodies suddenly trembled. Then dark golden light flew out of their bodies and quickly enveloped them. Wuxia, who was preparing to advance to a god spirit in the main camp, quickly sensed this scene through his perception that was about to transform into his divine sense. His expression immediately changed, and he was about to go out to see what was going on. A message from his lord came from his personal terminal. Wuxia took a look and heaved a sigh of relief. Then a smile appeared on his face. There's actually such a good thing. He smiled. Then, he did not continue to advance to a god spirit. Instead, he walked out of the military camp and looked at the Yellow Gold Kings who had fallen into an advanced state, preparing to protect them. Even though they would almost not encounter any danger in the folded space of the galaxy. However, Wuxia felt that he would only be truly at ease if he protected them until they advanced successfully. A moment later, the dark golden light on a white silver tier King of Yellow Gold gradually dissipated. A human soldier, more than 20 meters tall, appeared in front of him. He was wearing dark golden armor and a dark golden mountain-shaped helmet. He wore a dark golden mask and held a huge dark golden sword in one hand and a huge dark golden mountain shield in the other. The phantom of a tall mountain surrounded his body. Just standing there gave people a huge sense of oppression. Oh my god, it's simply like a mountain. Is this the advanced soldier type of the King of Yellow Gold that His Majesty mentioned? Wuxia clicked his tongue in wonder. Just by looking at its size and aura, he knew that this soldier type's combat strength was not weak. He walked over and opened the soldier's details. Subject: Lian Xiaojiu. Territory: Blazing Sun Kingdom. Soldier class name: Yellow Gold Tier God Attendant. Kingdom level soldier type. Strength level: White Silver Tier Elementary Grade. Ability overview: The top soldier type of the extinct Yellow Gold Kingdom, and also the strongest combat strength soldier type in the Yellow Gold Tier Kingdom. A kingdom level soldier type created by the god of Yellow Gold, Tier Trakel, with his own divine power. He originally created this soldier type to protect himself and the kingdom, but in the end, he still fell under the siege of the gods. Not only was the kingdom destroyed, but he was also dismembered by the gods. Skills: Kingdom level combat talent, Yellow Gold Tier Divine Body. Kingdom level combat talent, Yellow Gold Tier Mountain Giant. Kingdom level combat skill, Yellow Gold Tier Protection talent, Divine Power Weakening talent. Creation of Yellow Gold Tier. Creation of Original Gold, White Silver Tier Elementary Grade. Mountain Guardian, White Silver Tier Elementary Grade. Tier Elementary Grade. Sturdy as a Rock, White Silver Tier Elementary Grade. Tier Elementary Grade. Unyielding White Silver Tier. Elementary Grade Gravity Manipulation, White Silver Tier Elementary Grade. White Silver Tier Elementary Grade Flying, White Silver Tier Elementary Grade. Elementary Grade. White Silver Tier Elementary Grade. Elementary Grade. Loyalty, 90 Potential, Epic Tier Advanced Grade. My good lord. Wuxia clicked his tongue. This skill list looked ridiculous. It was not inferior to the Violent Storm Spirit at all. Then a smile appeared on his face. The Blazing Sun Kingdom already had 2 kingdom-level soldier types. Coupled with the huge number of soldiers, it could be said that the current military strength of the Blazing Sun Kingdom had increased by 2 to 3 times. At the same time, in a study room in the Advanced Grade Lord's Paradise, in front of the kingdom's golden tablet, Zhou looked at the text notification in front of him. Book of Silver Hint. Your special soldier type, King of Yellow Gold, has officially advanced to the kingdom-level soldier type, Yellow Gold God Attendant. Here is the specific class information of the kingdom-level soldier type, Yellow Gold Tier God Attendant. Class name: Yellow Gold Tier God Attendant. Soldier type. Class grade: Kingdom-level soldier type. Skills of soldier class: Kingdom-level combat talent, Yellow Gold Tier Divine Body. Kingdom Level Combat Talent. Yellow Gold Tier Mountain Giant. Kingdom Level Combat Skill. Yellow Gold Tier Protection. Zhou roughly looked at the general class ability information of this Kingdom Level class. Then, he opened the information of each class skill, and read them carefully. Then a smile appeared on his face. As expected of an advanced soldier type of the King of Yellow Gold. All the skills were completely upgraded versions of the King of Yellow Gold. Moreover, compared to the King of Yellow Gold, not only did the Yellow Gold God Attendant retain its previous ability to fight in all aspects, but it was also stronger in terms of defense. It could defend against the attacks of the enemies on the way, and was better at protecting its allies at the back. They were completely the soldier type that Zhou wanted to be able to fight perfectly with the violent storm spirit. A top-grade ideal soldier type. Zhou sighed, but felt a little regretful instantly. Now that the green bronze mausoleum had disappeared, he could not obtain a second book of silver. As for the other green bronze mausoleums, firstly, Zhou did not know anything about them. He had also asked Lu Zhen and Ji Yun. The two human emperors did not know anything about them either. It could be seen that this was the only green bronze mausoleum in the human race. Secondly, the loots in the other green bronze mausoleum might not be the green bronze book, or the book of silver, that could increase the level of soldiers. I hope I can encounter such a treasure that can increase the quality of my soldier type in the future. Zhou thought to himself. With the enhancement of his King of Loots and various luck abilities, he might really encounter such treasures again in the future. After that, Zhou called Aaliyah and Atli over, and asked them to call all the higher-ups in the territory, including but not limited to generals, civil servants, heroes, god spirits, high-level lifestyle professionals, high-level combat professionals, people who had contributed to the development of the territory, people with high potential, people with high talent. In terms of loyalty, he had to be absolutely dead loyal. The venue was set to be the meeting hall of the Advanced Grade Lord's Paradise. As for the number, Zhou temporarily set it at 100. A moment later, Shaoxian by Yen Feng Luo Qi Xiantian Wu Xian, Guardian of Death, Zhang and Vicky Guiqiao, Zhao Changshou, a total of 100 subjects gathered in the council hall. A moment later, Zhou also walked in. "Greetings, Your Majesty," everyone said respectfully and fanatically. Zhou nodded, and asked everyone to sit down. "I summoned everyone here today, because I have something very important to announce to you." A towering and vast netherworld palace appeared behind him. It was the Reincarnation Sacred Palace. Everyone's bodies trembled as they looked at the palace in shock. Zhou did not waste his breath, and told them the ability to activate the Reincarnation Sacred Palace. As soon as he finished speaking, all the life forms and god spirits present quickly reacted with excitement on their faces. Chapter 790 Various Usages of the Time World. There's actually such a strange treasure in the world? Feng Luo muttered with a shocked expression on his face. It's not just a strange treasure. No matter how knowledgeable Heros was, he was so excited that he was incoherent. Even if it's a high-tier deity-level divine artifact, no true god-tier divine artifacts, that's not right either. It should be a legendary master divine artifact. I'm afraid its ability is only SOSO. I've never seen a master divine artifact before. I'm just guessing. However, although it's just a guess, I feel that the ability of this Reincarnation Sacred Palace should really be similar to a master divine artifact. As soon as these words were spoken, the others were stunned. What kind of existence was a master god divine artifact? It could be said that there were fewer master god tiers than master divine artifacts. Heros actually said that the Reincarnation Sacred Palace was actually comparable to a master god divine artifact. How could they not be shocked? With the ability of the Reincarnation Sacred Palace? Wouldn't I be able to participate in the construction of those famous buildings in history? Zhao Changshou was also very excited. If he could participate in the construction of the buildings of the races, miracles, god-tier buildings, and even those unbelievable buildings in history, even if he was only an assistant, his architect level would probably increase rapidly. It would not be difficult for him to even advance to a higher level. However, after thinking about it, he realized that it was very difficult to do this. not to mention the upper limit of his potential, and whether he could participate. The third difficulty was, according to His Majesty, the time tickets were randomly condensed. The identity and year created could not be specified. Under such circumstances, it was very difficult to randomly choose the years where top-notch buildings had appeared. The cost would be too high if he were to forcibly reforge the time ticket he wanted. No matter how much mist core he had, he couldn't create it like that. On the other side, Bai Yin was also extremely excited. With this time world, she was confident that she would be able to break through to the God Spirit level 100% by tomorrow morning. After all, even if it was just one night, if the time ratio was infinite, it was equivalent to 13 years of time in the world. After so many years, it would definitely be enough for her to comprehend her own lost skill and break through to the God Spirit level. At the same time, she thought of something else. The biggest difference between existences below the God Spirit level was ordinary extraordinary tier life, forms below the God Spirit realm, could continuously increase their realms as long as they accumulated enough promotion energy and had high potential until they reached the limit of their potential. On the other hand, existences above the God Spirit level not only required promotion energy and potential, but most importantly, God spirits also needed comprehension of laws to continue to advance their God Spirit realm. She had been a little worried before. After these top combatants of the Blazing Sun Kingdom broke through to the God Spirit level, the speed at which their strength increased might instantly slow down. God spirits needed a lot of time to improve their comprehension of Lord's law after all. However, she was no longer worried. There was enough time. Time was no longer a problem. Lack of law comprehension? She could just enter the time world and stay for a few days. In 7 days in the real world, nearly 100 years had passed. I'm asking if you're ridiculously divorced? The others also voiced out many of their unique thoughts. For example, he could train his troops in the years, practice his medical skills in the years, sharpen his temperament in the years, practice his skills in the years, rest in the years, and practice mastering the military formation in the years. All kinds of thoughts made Zhou, who had heard everything, smile. The reason why he asked these higher-ups to come over was to let them develop the abilities of the time world to the greatest extent. Now, it seemed that this group of people had a good imagination. Some people even suggested strange usages that Zhou had never thought of before. He did not say anything. Instead, he let everyone use their imaginations to their heart's content and discuss the use of time. After a while, when Zhou saw that their discussion had gradually calmed down, he clapped his hands and focused everyone's attention on himself again. I heard everything you said. That's right. This king is very satisfied with your strange ideas. This time world was originally for you to use. Therefore, from tonight onwards, you can enter the time world and use your methods to improve yourselves. But it's only limited to improving myself. If I find out that you used a precious treasure like the Reincarnation Sacred Palace to play around, not only will I revoke his authority to use the Reincarnation Sacred Palace, but I will also punish him. I believe you all know that. Zhou said in a low voice. The sovereign's might was as deep as the ocean. At this moment, everyone's expressions turned stern. No one dared to ignore Zhou's words, let alone think that Zhou would not do such a thing. Yes, Your Majesty. We will definitely not do such a thing. Your Majesty, don't worry. Don't worry, Your Majesty. We won't mess around with such a supreme treasure. Everyone expressed their stance seriously. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Actually, he was just casually mentioning this. They were all his dead loyal subjects. It was almost impossible for them to do something as ridiculous as wasting the country's resources. A faint smile appeared on his face as he talked about another matter. As for the expenses of the Reincarnation Sacred Palace, because it is for your nurturing, the Blazing Sun Kingdom's officials will bear 75% of the total expenses of using the Reincarnation Sacred Palace. As for the remaining 25%, you will spend it yourself. Long live His Majesty! As soon as he finished speaking, all the living beings and God spirits shouted in surprise. 75%. What a high ratio! It was enough to leave them with a large sum of mist core. Your Majesty, can the divine crystals be reimbursed? Vicky couldn't help but ask. As a god spirit, he had to consume divine crystals to enter the passage of time, to condense a ticket to the passage of time, reconstruct the ticket to the passage of time, and choose the ratio of the passage of time to the passage of time. If he was in charge of these divine crystals, he wouldn't be able to last long. Sure. Zhou smiled and nodded. Even though he did not have many divine crystals, it was not a problem for the few god spirits in his territory to enter the time world to cultivate. Thank you, Your Majesty. Vicky, Qi Xiantian, Feng Luo, and the other god spirits of the Blazing Sun Kingdom were overjoyed. Your Majesty, other than us, can the other Blazing Sun Kingdom subjects enter the time world? Zheng Yuanqi asked. The other subjects of the Blazing Sun Kingdom also have the full strength to enter the time world. But there are two conditions. The first condition is that the loyalty of the Blazing Sun Kingdom subjects who enter the time world must be above 90 points. The second condition is that the Blazing Sun Kingdom subjects who want to enter the time world have to sign a confidentiality contract before entering to ensure that they don't leak any secrets. As for the expenses of normal subjects entering the time world, as long as they enter the time world for personal development and territory development, our Blazing Sun Kingdom's officials can still bear 75% of the expenses for them after inspection and approval. Zhou had a plan in mind. Your Majesty is wise, everyone said in unison. Chapter 791 Divine Dragon Spear Cavalry, Wuxia, the god of 10,000 arrows in arrays, by Yin. Zhou nodded and said in a deep voice, from today onwards, everyone, try your best to stay in the time world every night. It's not an exaggeration to say that our territory is developing at an astonishing speed every day. If you don't hurry up and improve yourselves, in the future, if something happens to me, don't blame me for not reminding you today. Yes, Your Majesty. Everyone agreed solemnly. Zhou nodded and entered the time world with everyone. Others began to do what they wanted in the time world. They could either comprehend laws, master military formations, practice their skills, or improve their class abilities. Zhou continued to study the Lord's laws. However, he had completely comprehended the incomplete Lord talent contained in the Black Iron Tier Hand of Wealth. Therefore, he planned to officially comprehend the Lord talent contained in the Black Iron Tier Lord Talent King. The world he entered was still the Saha Empire from 1,000 years ago. He planned to use up all the time in the time world that he had not used up last time. Time passed quickly. The next morning, in a study room in the Advanced Great Lord's Paradise, Zhou and the other souls returned to their bodies from the time world. Then, Zhou was the first to open his eyes. The others also opened their eyes one after another. They looked at each other and could see the excitement in each other's eyes. It's hard to imagine. 1 second, I was still in the Great Xia Empire from more than 300 years ago. In the next second, I returned to the country from more than 300 years ago. There are always transmigrators in the myriad worlds. I can be considered a transmigrator now. Wuxia, no, it should be said that Divine Dragon Spear Cavalry, Wuxia lamented. He emitted waves of divine power. Even though it was a little unstable, he was already at the level of a low-tier deity-level elementary grade god spirit. On the other side, a smile appeared on Bai Yun's face as she felt the surging divine power in her body. She raised her head and looked at the other Blazing Sun Kingdom god spirits around her. The pressure in her heart quietly disappeared. He was finally a god spirit of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. 10,000 arrows in formation control god. This was the God Spirit title that she had naturally understood after breaking through to the God Spirit realm. At the same time, it was also her hero title, even though there's still a gap between him and the other God Spirits. But I will work hard to catch up until I become the strongest Blazing Sun Kingdom God Spirit apart from His Majesty. Grit flashed across Bai Yun's eyes. He had no choice. He had to do this. Otherwise, he would be letting down his position as the Legion commander of the Blazing Sun Army. On the other side, legendary tier elementary grade architect master Zhao Changshu smiled. Over the course of the night, after 10,000 times acceleration, he had stayed in time for a total of 13 years. In the past 13 years, he had finally perfectly digested the building foundation he had accumulated in the Blazing Sun Kingdom, and successfully advanced to the legendary tier elementary grade architect master. He couldn't help but sigh when he thought about the bumps he had encountered along the way. He was originally just an architect with the potential of a white platinum tier advanced grade. When he first arrived at the Blazing Sun Kingdom, as a white platinum tier intermediate grade architect, he was also the highest level architect in the territory. It could be said that His Majesty relied heavily on him. No matter what kind of important building it was, His Majesty trusted him unreservedly and gave him all kinds of precious building blueprints and materials to preside over the construction. Walls, Monster Ranch, Imperial Ancestral Temple, God of Death Statue, War Hero Monument. He had presided over the construction of these buildings, and the names of the builders with him, as the leader, were engraved on them. When he broke through to the limit of his potential, and could no longer make another breakthrough, His Majesty did not give up on him. Instead, he thought of ways to increase his potential. He did not let down His Majesty's expectations. The architect's level increased step by step. Diamond tier, extraordinary tier, epic tier, and even today's legendary elementary grade. Even though he had reached the limit of his potential again, he no longer had any regrets like before. He was already very satisfied. If there was any hope in the future, it would be to enter the time world a few more times and experience the construction process of those legendary buildings. I have to bring a few disciples into the time world in the future, Zhao Chengshou thought. His potential had been exhausted. It was time to nurture top-notch architects for the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Zhou Zhou looked at the expressions of the 100 people and could tell that everyone had benefited greatly. A smile appeared on his face. This reincarnation sacred palace was simply a top-grade lord talent. In just one night, he had shortened the growth time of his subjects by 13 years. If this continued, how effective would the effect be? Let's go. Everyone has worked hard all night. Let's go out for a meal. Zhou Zhou smiled. Everyone was in a good mood. They walked out of the cultivation hall one after another. Under the operation of the legendary tier chefs in the capital, table after table of delicious food appeared in front of everyone. After everyone ate to their heart's content, Bai Yin and the others brought the soldiers to clean up the monster ranch. Zhou Zhou walked out of Advanced Grade Lord's Paradise and walked towards the Gate of Summoning. Today is the 7th day of the King of 10,000 Kings event. Zhou Zhou opened the World Channel as he walked and looked at the current situation of the Lords of Cerulean Planet. The result made him frown slightly. At the moment when the Lord of the Scarlet Fog invaded the Supreme Continent, and even the Myriad Worlds, all the Lords of the Myriad races were in a bad situation. The human Lords of the Cerulean Planet, who were below average in strength, were no exception. Most of the Lords of Cerulean Planet, who were talking on the World Channel, were worried, or even desperate about their future. The Scarlet Lord's invasion gave them too much pressure. However, there were also things that made him relax slightly. After Dragon Lady Lord, Mystic Heaven Lord, Military Industry Lord, and the others established the kingdom, they used the kingdom's cohesiveness and protection ability to obtain their favor. Their situation was much better than other lords. After recruiting the soldiers, let's continue with the kingdom token auction. Zhou Zhou thought to himself. He was not a saint. However, he would naturally do what was beneficial to him, the human race on the Cerulean Planet, and the entire human race. Then he recalled his gains in the time world last night. Soon, he arrived in front of the Gate of Summoning and chanted in his heart. The next second, the Gate of Summoning suddenly lit up with a bright white light. Then a large number of new subjects walked out. After spending 100 extraordinary tier mist cores to accelerate, the 18,800 new subjects quickly walked out of the Gate of Summoning. Greetings, my lord. X18. 800. The 18,800 new subjects said respectfully. Hello everyone. Zhou Zhou smiled. Then, he asked all the professionals to stand up, and realized that he had summoned a total of 592 professionals. Among them were an extraordinary tier advanced grade space gardener, an extraordinary tier advanced grade sword shield soldier, an extraordinary tier advanced grade ice magician, an extraordinary tier advanced grade sorcerer, an extraordinary tier advanced grade array master, an extraordinary tier advanced grade curse master, and an extraordinary tier advanced grade blessing master. The rest were life professionals and combat professionals below extraordinary tier. Zhou looked at the last two extraordinary tier advanced grade curse masters and extraordinary tier advanced grade blessing masters. He clicked on their attribute information curiously and realized that their skills were all a bunch of curse skills and a bunch of blessing faculty skills. The skill is not bad. It's just that the class level is too low. After reading it, Zhou thought regretfully, if only they were legendary tier curse masters and blessing masters. At the level of extraordinary tier advanced grade, no matter how good their abilities were, they would not be of much use on a battlefield involving god spirits. As for legendary tier curse masters and blessing masters, they could already control the situation on the battlefield. He did not mind, and walked towards the Lord shop. Chapter 792 Game Helmet officially sold. 1,050,000,000 recruits. Soon, Zhou arrived at the Lord shop. To his surprise, Zhou Qingmin, who used to play games in his room in the morning, was standing at the door with an anxious expression. When he saw Zhou, his eyes lit up. He walked over quickly and said quickly, "Your Majesty, you're finally here. Let's go and buy today's goods. After that, I have other things to do." "What is it? Why are you in such a hurry?" Zhou was stunned. "Your Majesty, have you forgotten? Today is the official launch of the VR helmet." As Zhou Qingmin walked towards the Lord shop, he said excitedly, "All the regional territories in the Blazing Sun Kingdom will be sold at the same time. What's more, the Star Alliance Masters faction market, the Human Lords faction market on Cerulean Planet, the Night Empire, and the Divine Sword Empire's market, and even some of the surrounding people of foreign races will officially release virtual reality game helmets today. I've already gone to the sales venue just now. Oh my god, it's filled with people. After His Majesty buys the goods, I have to queue up too. Ha ha ha. This time I can finally play the complete version of Samsara. The experience of my own standalone Samsara is definitely different from that of having a real teammate." As the two of them spoke, they had returned to the Lord's shop. "But didn't I give you a VR helmet? Why are you queuing up?" Zhou stopped in his tracks and asked curiously, "His Majesty gave me a beta version of helmet. When you released an open beta helmet today. Moreover, it has open beta benefits. Moreover, as an old player, how can I miss such a memorable day?" Zhou Qingmin said with a yearning expression. Zhou, what he said made sense. I was speechless. At this moment, Zhou Qingmin had already returned to the Lord shop. He took out 3 silver boxes from under the counter and placed them in front of Zhou. Zhou opened them one by one. The first silver box contained an extraordinary tier advanced grade skill book called Fatal Immunity. It could allow the user to be immune to lethal damage below the level of an extraordinary tier advanced grade. The second box contained another extraordinary tier advanced grade skill book called Cursed Blood. It could create wounds on the enemy's body, causing the enemy's wounds to not heal for a long time. It was easy to bleed, and increased the risk of contracting the infest virus. Zhou looked at the 2 skill books with a strange expression. These 2 skill books seemed to be the skills of the 2 blessing masters, and the curse master he had just seen. He did not expect to see it in the Lord shop in the blink of an eye. The efficiency of the Lord shop was really high. He didn't mind and looked at the last item. This item was also a skill book. However, it was not an ordinary skill book. Instead, it was a military formation skill book. It was the battle formation skill book that he had given to Bai Yin, Wu Xian, and Luo Sheng last night. When Zhou saw this military formation skill book, he was stunned for a moment before the corners of his lips curled up. Finally, something good came out. "How much are these 3 goods?" Zhou looked up and asked. The extraordinary tier advanced grade skill books Fatal Immunity and Curse Blood are each worth 30 extraordinary mist cores. Low-level deity advanced grade battle formation skill book Soldier God. It's worth 1,500 legendary tier mist cores. Zhou Qingmin said. Small amount of money. Without another word, Zhou took out 1,560 legendary tier mist cores and handed them to the other party. Zhou Qingmen didn't look at it and kept it. Then he said to Zhou, "Your Majesty, I'm going to line up." He directly ignored his shop and jogged to the launch point of the virtual reality helmet. Zhou looked at the other party's back and suddenly had the thought of following him. Anyway, Bai Yin should not have finished cleaning up the ranchland continent yet. It would not delay anything if he went to take a look. At the thought of this, he decided to go. However, he did not go immediately. Instead, he learned all 3 skill books before leisurely walking to the selling point. The first-generation virtual reality helmet is currently on sale. There's a limited number of them. First come, first served. There are even mysterious open beta rewards in individual virtual reality game helmets. On a tall building that was 300 to 400 meters tall, there was a huge billboard with colorful words written on it. Zhou looked at this scene in wonder. The scene in front of him made him feel like he had returned to modern society. He glanced around. Personal terminals, virtual games, cars, roads, tall buildings, personal aircraft, robots, spaceships. Humans could live harmoniously with the people of foreign races, and even the fog monsters. It looked strange, but it was actually orderly. So my blazing sun kingdom has already developed to this extent. Zhou muttered to himself. He suddenly felt an uncontrollable sense of accomplishment and joy. The technological development of the territory in front of him. Even the cerulean planet or Earth could no longer compare. Who would have thought that there was only a lonely lord's wooden house, a short gate of summoning, an unfamiliar lord, and a group of subjects who were terrified and uneasy about the future less than a month ago. The world of juggernauts with extraordinary tier power is so unbelievable. Zhou lamented. Chapter 793 Game Helmet officially sold. 1,050,000,000 recruits. In the real world, building a supermodern country from scratch in less than a month? What kind of dream was this? And that could be done here by him. Zhou looked into the distance. In front of a virtual reality helmet release point, there was a line of 2 to 3 kilometers. They were all subjects of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. There were humans and people of foreign races. At this moment, some of them looked excited, some were impatient from waiting, and some simply set up a tent on the ground and prepared to fight a protracted battle. Zhou also saw someone familiar among them. Zhou Qingmen didn't say anything else. Xiao Xian was actually inside. Behind him was the youth who had automatically changed his profession to Guardian of Death some time ago. Zhou remembered that the other party's name was Zhang, and Zhou smiled and did not mind. He was just a child, not an adult. It was normal to play games. Zhou believed that they would be able to control themselves. This was because people with extraordinary talents like them often had far greater self-control than ordinary people. Even if they played games, they would not really be immersed in the game. And before they completely grew up, actually, Zhou did not intend to give them too much pressure, so he would not ask them to go out and train every day. Wenya, how many virtual reality helmets have you prepared? Zhou retracted his gaze and suddenly asked. Your Majesty, due to time constraints, Wenya only prepared 1 billion virtual reality gaming helmets. Among them, 300 million helmets were sent to the Blazing Sun Kingdom's market. 200 million helmets were sent to the Star Alliance's market. 200 million helmets were placed in the Blazing Sun Kingdom's official shop on the World Channel. 200 million helmets were sent to the Night Empire and the Divine Sword Empire. And 100 million helmets were sent to the Lord of the People of Foreign Races market. Currently, the manufacturing factories of the 10 virtual reality gaming helmets in the Blazing Sun Kingdom's territory are working hard to create more virtual reality gaming helmets. Based on current production, it is estimated that 500 million virtual reality helmets can be produced every day. A gentle voice suddenly sounded in Zhou's mind. Zhou nodded. This production was not bad. Make a profit statement for me tonight on the revenue of the VR helmet business. I want to see the future of this business. Zhou said. Yes, Your Majesty. Wenya said respectfully. Zhou acknowledged. Then he took one last look at the long queue. His expression changed slightly as his gaze landed on a young man sitting in a wheelchair. Interesting. He's only at the Black Iron tier. His providence is actually comparable to the providence of a legendary tier life form. From the looks of it, he wants to buy a virtual reality helmet to play games. Could this guy be an esports protagonist? Zhou expression was strange. He controlled the Regal Sage Dao sword, and had more than 10,000 legendary tier skills on him. Naturally, he had some ability to see luck. At this moment he sensed that this young man, who only had the strength of a Black Iron tier, was surprisingly lucky. He was even comparable to a legendary tier expert. With a thought, he activated the mental divination. The mind divination was the bloodline talent of the illusory life race. It could make simple calculations about the future. In addition, the illusory life race had another bloodline talent, fate perception. The combination of these two talents might not allow him to see the fate of some experts clearly. However, it was not a problem to see the fate trajectory of some weaker living beings. Thousands of fate images flashed in his eyes before gradually returning to nothingness. Zhou looked at the youth, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Even though he can't become a super expert who can dominate an area, his achievements in another field are enough for him to be remembered by the world and history. He looked at him one last time, gave his blessing in his heart, and turned to leave. At the same time, just as he was leaving, the youth also looked in the direction where Zhou had left in confusion. Was someone looking at me just now? He didn't think too much about it. His gaze landed on the VR helmet release point in the distance. When I was on Cerulean Planet, I was already a top-notch player. Even though after coming to this world, my potential was not high, and I was destined to not have much of a future on the extraordinary tier path. However, in the field of games, I might have a chance to showcase my strengths. In fact, I might even be able to use the game industry to let little sister and I embark on a higher level of extraordinary tier. At the very least, we also have to earn enough mist cores in the game and hire high-level doctors or clergymen in the territory to treat little sister's illness. Shannon, oh Shannon, you have nowhere to go. You can't lose again in the familiar field of gaming. Shannon thought to himself, and his gaze gradually became firm. On the other side, just as Zhou was about to look for Mu Gu and Bai Yi, he saw Bai Yin walking towards the advanced grade lord's paradise. When she saw Zhou, she immediately walked over. Greetings, Your Majesty, Bai Yin said respectfully. Has the Ranchland continent been cleaned up? Zhou asked. Yes, Your Majesty. Your Majesty, please take a look. This is a detailed list of the profits of the Ranchland continent. This spatial ring contains all the gains of the Ranchland continent. After Bai Yin finished speaking, she handed a list of profits and a spatial ring to Zhou. Zhou took it and looked at the profit list. Under the effect of the titles of King of Loots and Strongest Lord, in terms of the Mist Core, he had obtained a total of more than 2,750,000,000 green bronze tier Mist Cores, more than 2,310,000 white silver tier Mist Cores, more than 1,650,000 yellow gold tier Mist Cores, more than 1,380,000,000 white platinum tier Mist Cores, more than 1,390,000,000 diamond tier Mist Cores, more than 810 million extraordinary tier Mist Cores, and more than 150 million epic tier Mist Cores. There were also 420 million yellow gold tier God attendant recruitment books, 42000 inch, 63000 inch, 63000 inch, 38,000 proof of Legion fragments, over 210 million true faith tier scarlet crystals, over 168 million pious tier scarlet crystals, over 110 million fanatic tier scarlet crystals, 215 Holy Spirit tier scarlet crystals, 120 million iron-eating bear pet eggs, 260 million fear falcon wings, and Type 3 fear falcon radar. As for the other unimportant spoils of war, Zhou skipped them. He looked at the Ranchland continent's income list and could not help but smile. 420 million yellow gold tier God attendant recruitment books, 630 trillion violent storm spirit recruitment books. In total, there were a total of 1,050,000,000 recruitment books. If he threw them all into the gate of summoning, he could summon 1,050,000,000 soldiers at once. 1,050,000,000 soldiers a day. An uncontrollable smile appeared on Zhou face. This smile was even a little arrogant. But then again, this efficiency of recruiting soldiers indeed had the right to be arrogant. After all, not to mention a kingdom-level lord faction, even an empire-level lord faction would be stunned for a while when they heard this number. Recruiting the entire army of a beginner-level empire lord faction in a day. Wasn't he afraid? Then, Bai Yun told him about how the King of Yellow Gold recruitment books and the King of Yellow Gold class change certificate had become Golden God attendant recruitment books and class change certificates. Based on what Bai Yun saw, in the beginning, the moment the Golden King monster in the monster ranch died and extracted the loots, it indeed dropped the King of Yellow Gold recruitment books and King of Yellow Gold class change certificate. However, they only lasted for less than a second before they suddenly flashed and turned into the Yellow Gold Tier God attendant recruitment books and the Yellow Gold Tier God attendant class change certificate. As for the skills in gold dropped by the other King of Yellow Gold monsters, they had also become the skills of the Golden God attendant and higher level raw gold. Zhou nodded. This was naturally the effect of the Book of Silver. Then, Zhou did not waste any time. He took the spatial ring containing the 1,050,000,000 recruitment books and came to the gate of summoning. He used 100 extraordinary tier mist cores to recruit all 1,050,000,000 new recruits at once. Because there were too many of them, the open space in front of the gate of summoning could not accommodate these recruits. Therefore, Zhou had no choice but to place them in the internal world of the galaxy. But even so, it also took 2 galaxy ships to settle them down. One ship was loaded with 1 billion yuan, and the other was loaded with 50 million. Chapter 794 Life Profession Hero. The Kingdom Token Auction begins. I have to hurry up and create more galaxy. Otherwise, sooner or later, my soldiers will have no suitable place to stay. Zhou clicked his tongue. Then, a smile appeared on his face. He originally had 2,066,397,644 soldiers under his command. Now that he had 1,050,000,000 soldiers, his soldiers directly exceeded 3 billion, reaching a shocking number of 3,116,397,640 soldiers. With so many soldiers around, I can complete the Holy Sword Empire's faction quests in a day. Zhou thought. Currently, he still has 2.5 faction quests. Putting aside the faction quests of the Elven Empire, the Elven Empress had yet to send him a message. It was likely that the Battle of the Gods had yet to begin. The Divine Sword Empire still had a Save the Divine Sword Empire faction quest. In addition, killing the Scarlet God Spirit from the Divine Sword Empire could be considered half a faction quest. If I get rid of all the Scarlet Fog monsters and Scarlet God Spirits from the Divine Sword Empire today, I can complete this 1.5 faction quests. Zhou thought. He felt that it was not a big problem. A moment later, Zheng Yuanqi came in front of Zhou. He said happily, Your Majesty, the refugees have arrived today. There are about 120 million of them. I've already ordered the various states of the kingdom to fully accept these refugees and officially settle them down as subjects of our Blazing Sun Kingdom. Apart from that, there are also 48 heroes with extraordinary tier hero fate level slots and 16 heroes with epic tier hero fate level slots who have come to our territory and officially become our subjects. Among these 64 heroes, there are a total of 12 human heroes. The rest are heroes of the people of foreign races. Also, there are also 3 people of foreign race heroes from the Volcanic Dwarf clan and the Nature Elves clan. They are all rare life profession heroes who achieved achievement as blacksmiths. Zhou's eyes immediately lit up. A lifestyle class hero for blacksmiths? Such existences were quite rare. An existence that could achieve the hero slot with the blacksmith class was either a weapon forged by oneself, leaving behind illustrious deeds and reputation in history or war. These deeds and reputations were passed down by the life forms and passed down for countless years. Gradually, they became a hero's biography. And the blacksmith master who forged this legendary weapon naturally became a blacksmith-type hero under the support of the hero's biography. If this kind of achievement hero method relied more on timing and opportunities, then the other way to become a hero was more dependent on talent. If a blacksmith-type lifestyle professionals gradually reached the level of skills close to Tao in the process of honing their class skills, they might even comprehend their own lifestyle class hero skills. Such life profession professionals did not need a hero biography. They could rely on themselves to become life profession heroes. Moreover, once they became heroes in this way, not only could they easily create their own hero biographies among the life forms with their hero skills. In fact, because it was a hero skill that they had comprehended, they still had the potential to reach a higher level on their own path. Such a lifestyle hero could be said to have a limitless future on the path of a god spirit. In the past, the existence of achievement heroes in one way could not be said to be bad. However, in terms of evaluation, one had to say, time creates heroes. It could not be said that he had become a hero by himself. Both of them had their own strengths, but there was actually no difference. It was just that they looked at heroes from different perspectives. What kind of heroes are they? Zhou asked curiously. The blacksmith hero of the volcanic dwarves clan is called Chongshan. His hero title is Sound of Fire. He's a blacksmith hero, with an extraordinary tier hero's fate level based on his comprehension talent and race inheritance achievement. As for the two nature elves, one is called Hroth, and the other is called Gade. Their hero titles are Unbreakable Famous Forger and Blood Forger. They are now more than 3,000 years old. These two had once forged hero armor and weapons that were widely circulated in a supreme will event in the past. They are called Hroth's Spirit Armor and Bloody Blade. They also became heroes because of these two legendary tier weapons. Zhou nodded. Nature elves were all long-lived. It was easy to live for thousands, or even tens of thousands of years, even though they were naturally lazy because of this. However, it was indeed easy for such heroes to appear in such long-lived races. Take care of them. Those who should be incorporated into the army will be incorporated into the army. Those who should be assigned positions will be assigned. Let them not regret coming to our blazing sun kingdom. In the future, depending on their performance, you can reward them with the higher-level secret manual of the hero inheritance and Book of the God Spirit. Zhou said. Yes, of course. Zheng Yuanqi nodded seriously. Then, he bade farewell and left. Zhou watched Zheng Yuanqi leave with a faint smile. With the addition of these 64 new heroes, the number of heroes under his command had reached 242. This number was already comparable to the number of heroes of some weaker beginner Empire Lord factions. In the future, there will be more and more heroes and even god spirits under my command. Zhou thought to himself. His heart was filled with endless anticipation for the future. Chapter 795 Life Profession Hero. The Kingdom Token Auction begins. After that, he gathered all the generals and assigned them what to do today. First matter. He ordered the two high-tier deity levels, led by Heros and Qi Xiantian, to lead the other god spirits, including Wuxia, and the more than 3,116 million soldiers in the territory to the Divine Sword Empire, through the teleportation array, to deal with all the fog monsters around the Divine Sword Empire's territory. Heros, Qi Xiantian, and the other god spirits assisted Lu Zhen, Ji Yun, and the other god spirits of the two empires to deal with the scarlet god spirits surrounding the Divine Sword Empire. He would strive to restore the Divine Sword Empire to the situation before the calamity of the myriad races within 2 days. From there, he would complete 1.5 of Zhou's faction quests regarding the Divine Sword Empire. The second matter, Guo Qiao led the original spirit race, Ansel, the Dragon King of Volcano and Destruction, Nazario, the Dragon King of War and Strength, Jilong, and their Dragon God army, a total of 68 pure-blooded dragons, including spectral dragons, extreme dragon race, light spirit dragons, and other dragons, the Star Alliance Master, and their more than 216 million soldiers. Through the teleportation array, he would head to Linger's spiritual medicine city and assist her in conquering a beginner kingdom around the spiritual medicine city's territory. This would be the foundation for Linger to establish her spiritual medicine kingdom. Even though there was only one god spirit, Wuxia, the original spirit race, Ansel, Dragon King of Volcano and Destruction, Nazario, and the Dragon King of War and Strength, Long had all broken through to the legendary tier level. As possessors of high-level bloodlines, even if they were at the legendary tier level, they already had combat strength comparable to god spirits. Therefore, in this operation, it seemed like Wuxia was the only god spirit leading the team, but in fact, there were a total of 4 god spirit level combatants leading the team. Furthermore, Wuxia had the combat power of a high-tier deity level. Zhou refused to believe it. With such a powerful lineup helping Linger attack a beginner kingdom, how could there be any accidents? Of course, if they successfully took down a beginner kingdom for Linger, Zhou would also let them go to the neighboring people of foreign races, or the Crimson Kingdom to take advantage of them. Zhou didn't have to worry about any accidents, as long as they did not provoke an Empire-level Lord faction. It would naturally be best if he could take down 2 beginner-level Crimson Kingdoms while he was at it. At the same time, he could also fulfill the last requirement for the Blazing Sun Kingdom, to advance to an intermediate-grade kingdom. There were only so many temporary arrangements. As for more arrangements, they would wait until they were done with these 2 things. After Bai Yun and the rest received Zhou's order, they did not waste any time and left. After they left, Zhou opened the Kingdom Token auction and looked at the situation of the members in the group. There were a total of 15 Kingdom Tokens in this auction, and there were more than 10,000 top-notch human lords participating in the auction. There were more than 100 times more members than when Zhou looked at the group yesterday. Among these 10,000 lords, other than the top lords of Cerulean Planet in the World Channel, there were also some top lord members of the Star Alliance. As the Lord of the Star Alliance was his subordinate, Zhou naturally gave them a portion of the spots, so that they could participate in the Kingdom Token auction. Even though the auction had yet to begin, the group chat was already very lively. Overlord Lord, I must get the Kingdom Token this time. Jax Lord, sorry, I'm also interested in this Kingdom Token. Void Demon Lord, I want to build the first Void Demon Kingdom. Blue Dragon Lord, over 10,000 top lords participated, but there are only 15 Kingdom Tokens. This ratio, good Lord, I feel like I'm participating in the examination. Thunderstorm Lord, as a lord, it would be a pity if I don't have the craving to be a king once. Cabbage Lord, let's watch the big shots brag. Dust Lord, the Kingdom Token isn't important. I just want to join His Majesty Jiaoyang and make him my backer. Lord of the Night, fuck, I think so too. No matter how fragrant the Kingdom Token is, isn't it better to be working with His Majesty? Zhou watched these top-notch lords of Cerulean Planet chat. To be honest, it was quite interesting. Soon it was 8 o'clock. Military Industry Lord, the Kingdom Token auction officially begins. Military Industry Lord, I am the host of this Kingdom Token auction, personally appointed by His Majesty. Military Industry Lord, before the auction officially begins, let me emphasize once again. Since everyone has come to participate in the auction, it is tacitly agreed that once the auction is successful, the lords and the newly established kingdoms will follow the Blazing Sun Kingdom's lead. Furthermore, when the lords under you encounter the army of the Blazing Sun Kingdom, they will have to hand over the territory and a third of the kingdom's wealth. Military Industry Lord, apart from this is the only way you can auction it. If anyone is dissatisfied with this, you can leave the Kingdom Token auction group now. We will not stop you. Military Industry Lord, but if someone gets the Kingdom Token after the auction and regrets it, be careful of His Majesty's ruthless methods. Military Industry Lord, does anyone want to quit now? No one answered. 3 minutes later. Military Industry Lord, alright, since everyone has tacitly agreed, let's cut to the chase. Let's begin the auction of the first Kingdom Token. Everyone, you can bid now. Overlord Lord, 1,000 pieces of legendary tier Mist Core. In addition, 10 mutant beast mount cubs with legendary tier potential tamed. Void Demon Lord, Fire Spirit Lord, Blue Dragon Lord, Cabbage Lord. As expected of a big shot. Gold Merchant Lord. It's only the first kingdom token, not the last. I want fight for it. The others had the same thought. 1,000 legendary tier mist cores was naturally nothing to Zhou. However, to other lords this was an unimaginably high price. Even the top lords of the cerulean planet would feel the pinch for a period of time if they could take it out. After the military industry lord said 3, 2, 1. And no one offered a higher price. The first kingdom token successfully fell into the Overlord Lord's pocket. Overlord Lord, bye-bye everyone. I hope you can address me as Your Majesty the Overlord the next time we meet. It could be seen that this guy was very excited. However, the others were obviously not going to tolerate his arrogant behavior. Everyone spat in the group chat. The Overlord Lord did not care at all. He did not even participate in the subsequent auctions, and directly went offline. Military Industry Lord. It seems that the Overlord Lord is eager to establish a country. I wish him success. Now let's auction the second kingdom token. A moment later, this kingdom token was auctioned off by a cerulean planet human called Lord Zunshang. He spent a total of 1,500 legendary tier mist cores. It was said that this lord possessed a white platinum tier merchant lord talent. Coupled with his rich vendor experience when he was on the cerulean planet, he quickly earned his first bucket of gold on the high continent and began to replicate successfully. A long time ago, he had used this mode to become a wealthy lord. Later on, after obtaining the legacy of the country-destroying faction, his capital increased greatly. It was not unbelievable, even though it was a little surprising, that he could obtain a second kingdom token. And then, the third piece, the fourth piece, the seventh piece, 13th piece, 15th piece. After more than 3 hours of auctioning, all 15 kingdom tokens were finally sold. These 15 kingdom tokens brought more than 15,000 legendary tier mist cores to Zhou. In addition, there were all kinds of high-level equipment, high-level building blueprints, high-level rare materials, beauties of the other races, pet cubs with high potential. There were all kinds of treasures. However, with Zhou's current horizons, he naturally did not care much about the mist core and treasures. The main reason why he held this auction was not only to see the human lord of the cerulean planet living too miserably, but also to sell the extra kingdom token in his hand. In any case, these things were useless to him. He might as well exchange them for some benefits. After auctioning off all the kingdom tokens, Zhou did not say anything else. After bidding farewell to Dragon Lady Lord and the others, he summoned a galaxy and boarded it, flying towards the Divine Sword Empire. Chapter 796 by He's Crisis. Divine Sword Empire. Imperial Capital. Transparent ripples suddenly appeared above the space teleportation array, which was guarded by a large number of soldiers. Then, a galaxy slowly appeared from the transparent ripples. After seeing the galaxy, all the guards around were excited. They turned around and bowed respectfully to the galaxy. Greetings, King of the Blazing Sun. All the soldiers shouted excitedly. They had already heard about the King of the Blazing Sun, leading the Blazing Sun Kingdom's army, to eliminate all the Scarlet Fog monsters around the Night Empire, and assist in killing the Scarlet God spirits that besieged the Night Empire. The current Zhou could be said to be the savior praised by everyone in the eyes of the subjects of the Night Empire. Meanwhile, in the Divine Sword Empire, which was also surrounded by the Scarlet Fog monster army, the subjects of the Divine Sword Empire naturally hoped that the King of the Blazing Sun could come to the Divine Sword Empire and help them save them from the abyss of suffering. And now, they saw that the King of the Blazing Sun had really come. How could they not be excited? The next second, a figure appeared in front of Galaxy out of thin air. It was Zhou. He smiled and nodded at the crowd. Then, he looked at the crowd for a few seconds before his gaze landed on a beautiful figure in the crowd. It was Princess Yuling, who was looking at him with a smile and bright eyes. He sent a telepathic message to Princess Yuling and asked her to come to the galaxy for a chat. Then he returned to the galaxy cabin. A moment later, in the galaxy, Zhou and Princess Yuling were casually sitting on two white stools. So Uncle Lu and Uncle Ji have already set off to deal with the Scarlet God spirits around the Divine Sword Empire. Zhou said in realization. Exactly. Yuling nodded and smiled. My father specially asked me to stay here and wait for you to come. Then he asked us to go over together. Zhou nodded. Then Yuling, please point the way. Wunya. Well, follow the direction Yuling pointed out as the next flight. When he reached the end of his sentence, he suddenly froze. At this moment, individual talents, danger prediction, lord talent, talent intuition, bloodline talent, fate perception were activated. Illusory scenes of fate that only he could see appeared before Zhou's eyes, before gradually dissipating. Why? Yuling asked curiously when she saw that Zhou was silent for a while. It's okay. I just saw something about the future. Zhou frowned slightly. What is it? Did we encounter danger on this trip? Yuling immediately became nervous when she heard that. She was not even curious about how Zhou saw the future. That's not it. Even though there were some twists and turns along the way, we still successfully resolved what we wanted to accomplish in the end. The Divine Sword Empire also returned to its previous peaceful state. Zhou said, That's good. Yuling heaved a sigh of relief and asked curiously, Then what did you see in the future? Temple Lord Baihe is in danger. Zhou said in a low voice. In fact, it wasn't just that they were in danger. From what he saw with his fate perception, regarding Yuling, Baihe had already died in the abyss. Then, the human race shrank their territory, and a large number of mid to high-level experts were sent out to guard and protect the human subjects everywhere. In the end, because of Baihe's death, the top combat power of the human race had decreased. The people of foreign races were like greedy hunters, coming to the human territory from time to take advantage of the situation. The human race's situation was instantly 100 times worse than before, and they were living a very uncomfortable life. It was not until Yuling was personally killed by a high-tier deity level from the people of foreign race, during one of her expeditions, that the future development disappeared. However, even if he used his feet to guess, he knew that the future would not be too good. It looks like Baihe was the only one who died. However, if it continues to develop according to the fate I see in the future, it might turn into a crisis of extermination, Zhou muttered. His blood ran cold. This fate perception talent from the phantom race usually did not have much of a presence, but he did not expect it to give him such a huge surprise. As soon as it appeared. What? When Princess Yuling heard Zhou's words, her expression changed drastically. In less than a few seconds, her face turned pale and her body trembled. Not only was Baihe the strongest person in the entire Divine Sword Empire, he was also the protector of the abyss. His status was comparable to the Sword Emperor Fuyo of the Divine Sword Empire. As one of the very few human true god tier, he was also the strongest person in the entire human race. He was an existence that was the pillar of humanity. If Baihe was in danger and something really happened, it would definitely be a devastating blow to the human race. It was possible that the strength of the entire human race would decrease by 20%. Even though 20% was not much, if it were to be used on all the trillions of human clansmen, it might be the future of the trillions of human clansmen. This kind of thing could be deduced without any fate perception. How could Yuling not be afraid? Quick! Tell my father and His Majesty Lu Zhen. We must save Uncle Baihe. Nothing must happen to him. Yuling said with a pale face. Zhou acknowledged. At this point, faction quests were no longer important. In any case, those Scarlet God spirits would not leave. It would not be a problem to deal with them another day. The most important thing was to save Baihe first. Otherwise, once Baihe died, the strength of all the top experts of the human race would be weakened. Then the strength of the entire human race would decrease greatly, and the human race would also fall into the danger he saw. As for Zhou, as the target of protection, once the power protecting him was weakened, he would be in countless dangers in the future. Just for the sake of his future, he had to save Baihe and let Baihe and the other human experts withstand the pressure from the people of foreign races for him. Besides, Zhou's eyes were deep. As he opened his personal terminal to contact Lu Xun and the others, he thought of something else. From what he could see in the future, he was actually the main reason why he was in danger. This was because his performance in the King of 10,000 Kings event was too outstanding. As a normal lord of 1,000 races, he could actually surpass many top-notch bloodline lords, the true lord who was far ahead on the rankings, second only to the original spirit race. This, coupled with his victory in the previous event, had long made the civilization of the races behind the lords of countless top-notch races unable to stand it. However, due to the Supreme Agreement, they could not easily attack him. Therefore, they wanted to attack the human experts. At this moment, for the sake of Zhou's needs, White River, who had entered the abyss to search for the corpse of the demon god spirit alone, entered their field of vision. Then, Bai became the target. We must save Temple Lord Bai, Zhou thought to himself. Chapter 797: The Current Situation of the Five Great Empires. At this moment, Lu Xun and Ji Yun's faces appeared on the screen of Zhou's personal terminal. Nephew, have you arrived? Lu Xun smiled. He could tell that he was in a good mood. Ji Yun had a smile on his face. With Zhou's help, the crisis between the Night Empire and the Divine Sword Empire was about to be resolved. It also meant that the human race would not suffer too many losses during this calamity. As the higher-ups of the human race, the two of them were naturally in a good mood. However, they soon realized that something was wrong with Zhou's expression. What happened? Ji Yun asked solemnly. Lu Xun also stopped smiling and looked at Zhou solemnly. I have the ability to detect the future fate of life forms with a small probability. Just now, I accidentally triggered this ability on Yu Ling. The Lord of the Hall of Knights, he may be in danger. Zhou went straight to the point. The expressions of the two Empire Lords instantly changed. What danger? Lu Xun immediately asked. Ji Yun also looked anxious. He was the guardian of the Night Empire, and his status in the Empire was comparable to the Sword Emperor Fuyo of the Holy Sword Empire. If something really happened to Bai he simply didn't dare to imagine what the future of the Night Empire, and even the human race would be like. Neither of them doubted Zhou's words. The human lord's past style and personality made they believe in Zhou without reservation. They believed that Zhou would not lie to them about such matters. 3 abyssal true god tiers ambushed Temple Lord Bai in advance. They are the tyranny and despotic ruler of the Dark Crow, Asgrad, the Queen of Spiders Lorsi, and the Undying King Orcus. With the top-notch bloodline inheritance in his mind, Zhou easily recognized the identities of the 3 true god-tier existences in the fate scene. Lu Xun and Ji Yun's expressions changed when they heard that. They're all super experts from the abyss. Ji Yun's expression was ugly. The Night Temple belonged to the Night Empire. As the ruler of the Empire, he understood the power of these abyss gods the best. They looked at each other. Oh, go get the Emperor, Lu Xun said in a low voice. No way. When Ji Yun heard this, he rejected without hesitation. We can't alarm the Emperor. What if they only dealt with His Excellency Bai as a cover, and their real goal is to lure the Emperor out? Lu Xun also looked hesitant and struggled. Go and invite Patriarch Lu. See if you can invite Patriarch Lu back to help. Ji Yun said. Fine. Lu Xun nodded, and immediately meditated with his eyes closed. A faint sword aura surrounded his body, as if he was using some secret technique to communicate with Sword Emperor Fuyo, Lu Yen, who was far away in the immortal world. Ji Yun looked at Zhou and realized that Zhou seemed to have a lot to ask. He sighed and said, You guys come over first. I sent you our location. Zhou and Yuling looked at each other and did not say anything else. They let Wuxia pilot the galaxy and fly at full speed in the direction Ji Yun had sent them. Soon, they arrived at a forest area filled with vitality. This was also a diamond tier territory. At this moment, Ji Yun, Lu Xun, Heros, Qi Xiantian, and the god spirits of the 2 empires and the Blazing Sun Kingdom were gathered here. At the same time, Zhou could sense that his 1 billion Blazing Sun Kingdom soldiers were rapidly clearing out the fog monsters in the nearby area with astonishing efficiency. Zhou and Yuling immediately flew out of the galaxy and quickly arrived in front of Ji Yun. Lu Zhan and I are going to find someone to save His Excellency by I'll leave this place to you. Continue to eliminate the fog monsters and the scarlet god spirits here. If we encounter an enemy that we can't deal with, don't worry. We can deal with it together when we come back. Ji Yun said. Shouldn't we save His Excellency by at a time like this? Yuling could not help but ask. 3 true god tiers working together to deal with His Excellency by I'm afraid that the abyss is already filled with traps. Only a true god tier has a chance to break out of a battlefield of this level. What's the use of a group of low-tier and mid-tier deity-level god spirits? A high-tier deity level might be able to help a little, but this little help doesn't mean much. If that's the case, why don't you stay in the territory of the 2 empires and protect our human territory? This way, after we leave, at least we won't have to worry about danger at the back. What if His Holiness by is just a bait? What if their real purpose is to ambush the empire when we come out in full force? Ji Yun shook his head. Zhou Zhou and Yuling fell silent. Even though he was unwilling to admit it, he had to admit that what Ji Yun said made sense. A high-tier deity level might be able to help a little, but this little help doesn't mean much. But that was all. He was not stupid enough to think that he could fight a true god tier head-on, just because he had the strength of a true god tier. Zhou Zhou waved his hand and asked Qi Xiantian and the others to continue killing the scarlet god spirits, who were besieging the Divine Sword Empire. When Heros and the others saw this, they bowed to Zhou Zhou from afar. Then, they boarded a galaxy with the other god spirits and flew into the distance. There were no outsiders around. Ji Yun looked at Zhou Zhou and said, I know you have a lot of questions. There are no outsiders now. Go ahead. Since our human race has 5 empires, we should have 5 true god tiers backing us. Now that Temple Lord Bai He is in danger, why did he only invite Sword Emperor Fuyo, and not the true god tiers of the other 3 empires? Zhou Zhou asked. This was indeed his greatest doubt. When Ji Yun heard this, he had a helpless expression. You're right. Our human race does have 5 empires. Behind each empire, there is indeed a true god tier combat power guarding it. But it's not as simple as you think. It's not like our human race has not paid a price for surviving until now. For example, Lu Zhan's ancestor, Sword Emperor Fuyo. Do you know why he has been floating in the immortal world? Even Lu Zhan doesn't know the exact location of Sword Emperor Fuyo? Ji Yun said. Zhou Zhou shook his head. Because Sword Emperor Fuyo is afraid, and so are we humans. Ji Yun said in a low voice. There are 5 true god tier existences in our human race. This means that if we satisfy the conditions for building a few other divine kingdoms, we can directly establish a divine kingdom. At that time, the status of our human race will increase by leaps and bounds. But firstly, we can't gather so many extremely harsh divine kingdom conditions. Secondly, those people of foreign races don't dare to let us advance to the divine kingdom. At this point, a trace of blood flashed across Ji Yun's eyes. It was a deep hatred that had accumulated over thousands of years. Only by exterminating billions of people of foreign races' life forms, or even their entire race, could they be eliminated. After those people of foreign races learned that the 5 human empires had 5 true god-tier combatants, they thought of ways to harm them. The Lord of the Saha Empire, the Buddha Lord, underwent nirvana and entered endless reincarnation. The master of the Great Xia Empire, Xianyuan, was sealed in the Xianyuan tomb. He has been sleeping until now. The Lord of the Night Empire, Bai He, was forced to resign from his position as the Lord of the Empire. He left human territory and moved to the front line of the abyss to guard the abyss for countless years. The Lord of the Divine Sword Empire, Lu Yen, was also forced to resign from his position as the Lord of the Empire and hide in the immortal world. He was afraid of being found and killed. At the same time, he secretly searched for resources for the development of our human race. As for the master of the Heavenly Barbarian Empire, Pangu, he was the founding master of our human race. The history of our human race also began with Pangu, but he is now forced to seal himself in the primordial world. I hate it. Towards the end, Ji Yun's entire body emitted a terrifying vicious aura. Chapter 798. Panga Zhou looked at Ji Yun, who was emitting a shocking aura, and could not help but fall silent. He had long guessed that there were 5 true god-tier existences in the human race. He had always wondered why the human race did not take another step forward to establish a divine kingdom. At first, he only thought that the humans could not meet the other harsh conditions for establishing a divine kingdom. He did not expect there to be so many secrets behind it. The rulers of the 5 human empires had actually fallen to such a state. At the same time, he was also curious about the identity of the rulers of the 5 empires, especially the lord of the heavenly barbarian empire, Pangu. Pangu? Is that the Pangu who created the world? Zhou could not help but ask. Ji Yun had already restrained his emotions. Upon hearing this, he looked at Zhou and nodded with a smile. Then he sighed. That's right. Pangu was the first lord of our human race. He was originally called Pan. In that barbaric era, where humans didn't have any language, he was the one who held a stone axe and led the human subjects to overcome all obstacles in the barbaric lands. He fought with countless creatures of the races and developed our human territory step by step. That's how we humans are where we are today. After countless years, Pan is still the most powerful and unquestionable guardian of the human race. Therefore, we added the word ancient after his name to express our respect for him. After countless years, Pan is still the most powerful and unquestionable guardian of the human race. Therefore, we added the word Gu, meaning ancient, after his name to express our respect for him. You've heard of it in your world, haven't you? Ji Yun asked in the end. Zhou acknowledged. Panga's creation of the world could be said to be the most famous legend in his hometown. How could he not know? There are 3 meanings to the creation of the world. The first meaning is that Panga led us humans and established our territory, allowing us humans to continue until now. This is also the most important meaning, even though it's not widely spread. The second meaning is that as the strongest true god of our human race, Panga has grasped a true god-tier mystic technique to create a world. He once used his body as a law to personally create a real world called the primordial world. This is the second meaning. That's pretty widespread. As for the third meaning, at this point, Ji Yun's expression suddenly darkened. As the strongest expert of our human race, and also a possessor of Master God-tier potential, Pango has actually been working hard to break through to the Master God-tier realm. Once we succeed in breaking through and officially advance to the Master God-tier realm, not only can we easily build a divine kingdom, but even the bloodline potential of our entire human race will also be collectively advanced because of Panga's main divine position slot. From there, we will jump to a high-level bloodline race. Originally, Pangu could have successfully advanced. But, just as Pangu was about to approach the Master God-tier realm, 3,000 experts of the people of foreign races suddenly descended to the primordial world and surrounded Pangu, who was cultivating in seclusion. Even though Pangu defeated them and expelled them from the primordial world, he was severely injured because of this. He had no choice but to transform into the world and seal himself in the primordial world to recover from his injuries. While he can still hear our voices and break through the barrier, once he does so, it means that his recovery process will be interrupted. All his previous restoration will be in vain. We humans really need to recover to our original state, Imperial Lord Pangu, to protect us humans again. That's why I stopped Lu Zhen when he wanted to ask the Emperor to help. That's right. At this moment, Lu Zhen had already opened his eyes and came to Ji Yun's side. His Excellency, he needs to be saved, but we can't interrupt Imperial Lord Panga's recovery process. I've already contacted the Patriarch. The Patriarch is rushing over. In addition, the Ancestor has also contacted the Excellency from the Xianyuan tomb. At that time, if a war breaks out, His Majesty from the Xianyuan tomb will cross over to help. He said in a deep voice. That's good. With the help of the 3 members of royalty from the Xianyuan tomb and Patriarch Lu, we should have a higher chance of saving His Excellency by he. Ji Yun heaved a sigh of relief. But even so, the 2 of them still did not look too happy. After all, even if Patriarch Lu and the Yellow Emperor from the Xianyuan tomb were both true god-tier existences. Together with Bai He, whose life and death were unknown, they could barely be considered three true god-tier combatants. However, it was hard to say who would win against the three true god-tiers of the abyss. The other party was not weak after all. At the same time, when Zhou Zhou heard Lu Zhen mention the member of royalty, he subconsciously touched the sword of Xianyuan at his waist. Speaking of which, this sword of Xianyuan was born according to the myths and legends of the Yellow Emperor Xianyuan. He did not expect to hear news of that existence today. Myths are becoming reality, Zhou Zhou muttered. He thought for a moment and could not help but say to the two rulers of the empire, "Can I go with you? Actually, the reason why Bai He is in danger this time has a lot to do with me. I also want to go and take a look. Perhaps there will be something I can help with." As soon as these words were spoken, Lu Zhen and Ji Yin were stunned. Nonsense. When Lu Zhen reacted, he immediately frowned. Don't think that you're invincible, just because you have some attainments in the Sword Dao. Didn't you hear what I just said? Even if a high-tier deity-level god spirit were to enter a true god-tier battlefield, they would only be able to help a little. You're just a child who's not even in the god spirit realm. On such a battlefield, the aftershock of a casual strike from them can destroy your soul. Won't you be tempting fate if you go? Your Uncle Lu is right. Ji Yin nodded as well. He looked at Zhou Zhou and said gently, I know you want to save His Excellency Bai He, but you have to do everything within your means. We've already invited Patriarch Lu and His Excellency Xianyuan. Only they have the right and ability to save His Excellency Bai He. Even your Uncle Lu and I don't dare to interfere. We only dare to prepare support from the back. How are you going to go? If you're unwilling, develop your territory well, and strive to reach the level of Patriarch Lu, or even Imperial Lord Pengu as soon as possible. At that time, no one will stop you from doing whatever you want, and no one will be able to stop you. Uncles, I have the confidence to protect myself on a true god-tier battlefield. Zhou Zhou said in a low voice. Not only was he confident that he could save himself, but he was also confident that he could save Bai He alone. However, if that was the case, he might use the strongest trump card he had always kept. Therefore, he did not want to use this trump card unless he had no choice. However, Bai He had taken great care of him. At this critical moment, he felt that he couldn't just stand by and do nothing when he was confident that he could save Bai He. This went against his principles and bottom line. At this moment, he looked serious and did not seem to be lying. Ji Yin and Lu Zhen were stunned. The two of them looked at each other before looking at Zhou Zhou. Then Lu Zhen said solemnly, Are you serious? For real? The two of them fell into deep thought. A moment later, Ji Yin and Lu Zhen shook their heads slowly. No, you still can't go. Ji Yin said. Why? Zhou Zhou was not angry. He just wanted to ask for the reason. Chapter 799 Undying God Scroll and Confidence. The reason is simple. Among the three abyssal true gods, the Queen of Spiders Lorsi and the immortal King Aokus are still alright. The two of them are only the rulers of intermediate empires. Even if you provoke them with your current strength, as long as they don't take action personally, your safety won't be a problem. But not for the tyranny and despotic ruler of the Dark Crow, Asgrat can't. He ruled the 45th, 46th, and 47th levels of the Abyss, forming the three domains of Asgard. He then advanced to become the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. Once you provoke it means that you, a mere lord of a beginner kingdom, have provoked a Divine Kingdom Lord faction. In such a situation, even the Supreme Agreement can't stop him from attacking you. Even if Asgard doesn't make a move personally, the Divine Kingdom Lords under him can still easily crush you with other methods. You won't be able to withstand the attack of a Divine Kingdom Lord. Even the entire human race can't stop it. Ji Yin said softly. Zhou Zhou. Okay, I won't go. Zhou Zhou said. He didn't have any other merits but to listen to advice. At this point, he could not say anything else. However, he felt that it was a pity. He had never used the dragon sacrifice holy tower of the extreme dragon race until now. He really wanted to be like the remnant soul of the Black Dragon Emperor. and ask his enemy if he was afraid of the divine ancestors' relocation. However, since Ji Yun and company were trying their best to dissuade him, there was no harm in keeping this trump card. In the future, he might be able to give those enemies who wanted to deal with him a surprise. After some thought, Zhou handed a scroll to Ji Yun. This scroll was completely emerald green and emitted a majestic aura of the law of life. This was originally a spoil of war that he had occasionally obtained from the Ice Demon Kingdom. Even though it was very precious, he had never used it. It should come in handy now. At the same time, Ji Yin and Lu Zhen were shocked when they saw this scroll. This was because they could sense that the law of life aura emitted by this scroll was actually the aura of a true god tier nomological law. This was actually a treasure at the true god tier level. The two of them immediately looked over. A text notification appeared. Treasure name, Undead God. Treasure grade, True God tier elementary grade. Treasure effect. After using it, if the user is a life form, this life form will have an inexhaustible life aura in its body for the next 24 hours. No matter what physical injuries it suffers, it can instantly recover. No existence below the Master God tier can kill this life form in these 23 hours. Treasure introduction. The work of the goddess of life, Tritis. For some reason, it fell into the hands of the Ice Demon Kingdom, and later became one of the treasures in the collection of the King of the Blazing Sun. The two of them gaped. He was completely shocked. There was only one thought in their minds. What a top-grade true god tier treasure! If a true god tier used this scroll, and equipped it with a treasure that could protect the soul, wouldn't he be invincible against existences below the Master God tier? Even though it was only invincible for a short period of time, it was still very valuable. It's too valuable. You should keep it for yourself. In the future, if you encounter an enemy that you can't resist, this treasure can save your life. Ji Yin and Lu Zhen's gazes met many times. In the end, Ji Yin reluctantly handed the scroll back to Zhou. However, Zhou did not take it. Saving Senior by he will be of no less help to me in the future than this undying god scroll. He said seriously. The future Lord of all races contest was bound to involve the race behind the Lord. If the race behind the Lord was weak, then this Lord of all races would definitely be at a disadvantage in the Lord of all races competition in the future. Zhou didn't think that he could ignore the help of the races alone and fight against the lords of the myriad races and the race civilization behind them. In fact, if he did not have the help of the Night Empire and the Divine Sword Empire in this King of 10,000 Kings event, it would be almost impossible for him to be so far ahead on the rankings. Therefore, from now on, preserving and improving the strength of the human race, as much as possible, was also an investment in his future. Therefore, it was necessary to give them the scroll of the Undying God. In any case, he barely had the strength of a true god tier casual attack now. In addition, the Dragon Sacrifice Holy Tower could summon the Master God level extreme world-honored dragon to help him. Even if he could only help once, the effect was far better than this Undying God scroll. When Ji Yin and Lu Zhen heard that, they thought for a long time before finally nodding solemnly. Then they put away the Undying God scroll. They looked at this true god tier scroll and could not help but relax. Previously, they were less than 30% confident in saving Bai He, but now that they had the scroll of the Undying God, their confidence had suddenly increased to 70%. This was the power of a top-grade true god tier treasure. After that, the two deities didn't say anything else and directly went to find Patriarch Lu, preparing to head into the abyss to save Bai He. It's a pity that I don't have the chance to meet Patriarch Lu and His Excellency, the Yellow Emperor Xianyuan. Zhou looked at their backs as they left and said regretfully, "We'll meet again. I'm sure it won't take long." Yuling looked at Zhou, her eyes shining. She, who had been watching from the sidelines the entire time, never expected that the current Zhou actually had the ability to interfere in a true god tier battle. Even though he was only using treasures to interfere, it could be seen how fast Zhou had grown. No, it was so fast that it was scary. Zhou did not notice Yuling's expression. After seeing the two of them leave, he did not waste any time and boarded the galaxy with Yuling. heading to the nearest location where the Scarlet God spirits were. As soon as he arrived, he saw Heros fighting with a high-tier deity-level advanced-grade Scarlet God spirit. Even though Heros was suppressed by this Scarlet God spirit in terms of strength and realm, but Heros had a full set of divine artifacts on him. He was actually suppressing this Scarlet God spirit, who was an advanced-grade high-tier deity level. Beside him, Qi Xiantian, Feng Luo, and the others were watching the battle from the side. They had no intention of interfering. Clearly, they wanted the belligerent Heros to complete this battle alone. Great! Great! Ha 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 ha! After sending the high-tier deity-level advanced-grade Scarlet God spirit flying with another attack, Heros laughed heartily. The temperature within a radius of 500 kilometers rose rapidly with Heros' excitement. As for the Scarlet God spirit, after stabilizing itself, it looked at Heros with a sullen and resentful expression. That's unfair. If it weren't for the fact that you have the power of divine artifacts and nomological laws, how could you have defeated me in a head-on battle? He said angrily. So what? Divine artifacts are a part of strength to begin with? Could it be that it's only fair that I have divine artifacts and don't use them? Then if you have the ability to suppress your strength to the high-tier deity-level intermediate grade, I can put away the divine artifact and have a fair battle with you. Heros was extremely heroic. He was never afraid of a battle of equal strength. The Scarlet God spirit's eyes moved slightly when it heard this, and some bad thoughts appeared in its mind. Just as he was about to agree after weighing the pros and cons, a voice suddenly sounded. Heros, leave this guy to this king. It was Zhou. He descended from the sky and arrived in front of Heros. Then, he slowly walked towards the Scarlet God spirit, who was an advanced-grade high-tier deity level. At the same time, he gradually condensed a chaotic phantom of the sword of Xian Yuan, with the chaotic power source in his hand. I'll give you a chance. You can use anything. I don't need a divine artifact. I can even fight you without any equipment. If you win, I'll let you go. Do you dare? Zhou said. At first, the Scarlet God spirit was a little surprised, but when he saw Zhou's strength clearly, he was immediately stunned. There was only one thought in his mind. Legendary tier intermediate grade? Is this human crazy? Chapter 800 Black Iron Tier Law Skill. King Zhou looked at the other party's almost laughing expression, and his expression was very calm. The reason why he dared to raise this challenge was naturally because he had his own confidence. He looked at the law skill that he had comprehended in the time world for a full 2 years yesterday. Law skill name: King. Law skill quality: Black Iron Tier, King. As the king of subjects, you can mark a subject that belongs to you and control everything they have, including but not limited to appearance, bloodlines, skills, weapons, law skills, and even illusory fate. When you control everything that the marked subject has, the subject doesn't have to suffer any negative effects. Zhou had a faint smile on his face. This law skill that he had comprehended not only did not damage any of the effects of the original Lord Talent, but the number of subjects marked had also increased from 1 to 2. At the same time, when he used the power of the king's law skill, the marked subjects could not be affected at all. This was strengthened. It could be said that the greatest drawback of the Lord Talent, the king, had been eliminated, making the king's law skill a perfect Black Iron Tier law skill, without any flaws. This was also the reason why he had the courage to challenge this high-tier deity-level advanced-grade Scarlet God spirit, without borrowing any divine artifacts. Zhou never did anything that he wasn't confident in. For today's battle, he had even specially honed his combat skills for a full 10 years in the Time World last night. Just the number of deaths in the Time World alone was no less than 100. However, this Scarlet God spirit did not know. Hence, he looked at Zhou as a sinister smile gradually appeared on his face. Scared? How can I be afraid? Since you have a death wish, I'll send you on your way. As soon as he finished speaking, he let out a sharp cry and emitted an extremely terrifying sound wave attack. Then, he flashed and appeared in front of Zhou in the blink of an eye. He then swung a purple hammer at Zhou. Facing the sound wave attack released by the other party first, Zhou, who had the chaos will, was immune to the soul attack, without even having his eyes explode. Then, under the other party's shocked gaze, Zhou directly activated his king talent and augmented the strength of the two subjects on himself. One of them was naturally Wuxia. After Zhou added his strength to himself, he used the dragon-slaying will to directly raise his strength to the high-tier deity level intermediate grade. Then, he added the strength of another god spirit to his body. He was no other god spirit. It was Heros, who had the strength of a high-tier deity level intermediate grade. As the most powerful god spirit in the Blazing Sun Kingdom, Zhou naturally wouldn't forget he. At this moment, two high-tier deity level intermediate grade gods added to his body, instantly raising Zhou's current strength to the high-tier deity level advanced grade. Boom! Fire and lightning erupted from his body, making him look like the god of lightning and fire. Behind him, the phantom of a world intertwined with lightning and fire appeared, blotting out the sky. A shocking aura erupted from Zhou's body. Everything within a radius of 5,000 kilometers was enveloped by Zhou's terrifying divine might. The world was silent. All the living beings and god spirits looked at Zhou in shock and even reverence. In the eyes of all living beings, Zhou's aura was countless times stronger than that of a high-tier deity level. Perhaps only the legendary true god tier could compare to him. At the same time, facing this shocking aura, the high-tier deity level advanced grade Scarlet God Spirit that was charging at him was naturally the first to bear the brunt. He immediately felt that something was amiss. He only felt a great fear surge into his heart. Run! Run! This thought surfaced in his mind. Then, he even gave up on attacking and turned around to tear open a silver scroll. He saw ripples suddenly appear in space before a spatial rift was suddenly opened. He wanted to enter without thinking. Law skill space imprisonment. At this moment, a faint voice sounded. The next second, a power that sealed the space instantly spread out within a radius of 5,000 kilometers. The spatial crack that had just been opened recovered at an even faster speed. In fact, the space was even stronger than before. The Scarlet God Spirit's expression darkened. He turned to look at Zhou and saw him looking at him with a calm expression. Why are you running? We haven't even fought yet, he said. As for the nomological skill he had just used, space imprisonment, it was unknown which unlucky enemy he had obtained it from. Even legendary tier life forms could drop divine spark fragments. He already had hundreds of law skills on him. Spatial imprisonment was just one of the law skills. The Scarlet God Spirit looked at him, without saying a word. He sensed the majestic aura on Zhou's body and understood something. This guy who looked like a human on the surface was definitely from a high-level bloodline race. Otherwise, it would be impossible for both sides to be high-tier deity-level advanced grade existences. His aura and pressure were actually so strong that he could be said to be close to a true god tier. He realized that he had no way out. A ruthless glint flashed in his eyes. He raised his purple hammer with both hands and raised it high above his head. The divine power in his entire body erupted, and all of it was instilled into this mid-tier deity-level divine artifact. An aura of pressure, heaviness, attraction and rejection emanated from him. At this moment, all the life forms present had an illusion. The heavy hammer in the Scarlet God Spirit's hand seemed to be a huge star in a daze. Its weight was probably more than 1 trillion tons. Heros, Wuxia, and Qi Xiantian had solemn expressions. They all had combat power comparable to a high-tier deity level. But at this moment, facing this hammer that contained the law of gravity, they felt that they could not withstand it. Now that's interesting. Zhou's eyes lit up. Buzz! The illusory sword of Xian Yuan in his hand suddenly emitted boundless sword light. One could vaguely see the sun, moon, stars, mountains, plants, farming and livestock, as well as the phenomenon of the illusory unification of the 4 seas. Boom! He raised the sword of Xian Yuan high, and saw the sword beam shoot straight for 1,500 kilometers, illuminating a radius of billions of kilometers. Right on the heels of that, another explosion sounded. The scorching divine power of fire from Heros appeared in the void, and attached to the 9,000-kilometer-long majestic sword aura, causing the sword aura to flash with golden flames. It was as if a towering sword or a pillar had appeared out of thin air. Heros, Wuxia, and Qi Zuanshan's eyes sparkled when they saw this scene. They even had some comprehension in their hearts. The abilities of the three people on Zhou were indeed obtained from them. However, when Zhou used these abilities at a higher level, he would naturally give them some guidance. At the same time, when the Scarlet God Spirit saw Zhou's attack, it could not help but feel a sense of fear. However, he quickly came to his senses and was alarmed. He knew that if this continued, he might not even have the courage to use this final move. He didn't dare to think too much about it. He struck with all his might, smashing his strongest law skill, Falling Star, at Zhou. Chapter 8:01 Exclamation and curiosity. Zhou also swung his sword at the other party. As this 9,000-kilometer-long sword aura slashed at the Scarlet God Spirit, its body quickly shrank. 8,000 miles, 6,000 miles, 4,000 miles, 900 miles. After shrinking by a full 10 times, even though the size of the sword Qi of the myriad sword immortal formation decreased greatly, the light became even more dazzling. It seemed to contain endless surging and surging nomological energy. The two collided in the blink of an eye. The world fell silent at first, as if someone had pressed the mute button. Then, boom! An earth-shattering roar sounded. It was as if a black and red sun had appeared in the world. The sun kept distorting and expanding. In the blink of an eye, it filled the world, creating a scene that looked like the end of the world. Hurry, everyone, join forces to control this explosive energy within a certain range. Otherwise, our soldiers will be in danger. Heros' expression changed and he immediately said. The others also reacted and hurriedly wanted to create a barrier to restrict the release of this collision. However, in the next second, in the black-red distorted and expanding sun, the blazing golden fire sword Qi was actually quickly devouring the power of the black gravity law. Moreover, during the process of devouring, not only did it not leak any energy outside, but even the power from the meteorite sky strike was firmly restrained by the fire sword Qi, facing the future of being quickly devoured. When Heros and the other god spirits saw this scene, they were instantly dumbfounded. Their expressions were filled with disbelief. His Majesty's control over power has actually reached such a level. They naturally did not know. Yesterday, after Zhou comprehended a black iron tier law skill in the time world, he had been searching for experts to challenge in the time world. It was all for the sake of completely mastering his immense strength and ability. He couldn't possibly not know what kind of enemy he was facing, and what kind of moves he would use in battle, right? Then, with the help of the Bodhi Supreme and his astonishing comprehension ability, he perfectly grasped the Lord Law Skill King in less than 10 years. Moreover, he had integrated all his skills and law skills to the extent that he could use them freely during combat. At this moment, Zhou's actual combat experience had increased by more than 10 times. In the sky, at this moment, Zhou had already dispersed the illusory sword of Xian Yuan in his hand. He looked at the scene of the high-tier deity-level advanced grade Scarlet God Spirit being slowly devoured by his enhanced version of the Myriad Sword Immortal Formation. Soon, a text notification appeared. You have killed a high-tier deity, an advanced grade Scarlet God Spirit. You have gained plus 800 billion promotion energy. Loots have been condensed. Blessing of the War God. Your subject Maris has obtained an additional 40 promotion energy points. Faction quests hint. You and your subordinate have successfully killed a high-tier deity-level Scarlet God Spirit without the interference of external forces. You are rewarded with 100 million faction points. Zhou closed his eyes and felt the massive amount of promotion energy surging into his body, causing his cultivation realm to rise continuously. A moment later, boom! Zhou only felt an even more powerful chaotic power source being born from his heart. Then, it surged towards his limbs, bones, and soul, washing and strengthening them over and over again to quickly increase the strength of his body and soul. After a while, he had just completely absorbed all the promotion energy contributed by this dead high-tier deity-level advanced grade Scarlet God Spirit. Legendary tier advanced grade. Moreover, The promotion energy in my body has already reached about 80%. If I kill another mid-tier deity level or even a lesser deity, I should be able to reach the limit of a legendary tier advanced grade. Zhou lamented. Then he couldn't help but want to complain. It was equivalent to obtaining the promotion energy to kill 81 high-tier deity level advanced Scarlet God spirits, which allowed him to advance from legendary level to legendary tier advanced grade. This improvement was fucking ridiculous. Even though he had too many high-level bloodlines, which was a very important reason why he needed so much promotion energy. Wasn't this too much? If it were any other normal human lord, they would probably be able to directly promote the other party from a Black Iron tier lord to a legendary tier lord. He shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Then, he casually took the corpse of the Scarlet God spirit and directly extracted the other party's loots. As a non-hero deity, the most valuable thing on the other party was probably the high-tier deity-level advanced grade book of the God Spirit. After extracting it, he directly obtained a true God-tier advanced grade book of the God Spirit. Zhou put it away solemnly. This was the highest grade book of the God Spirit he had ever come into contact with. In the future, he planned to reward whoever contributed the most. As for the fact that he was a lord who walked the path of the Lord's laws, he naturally did not need this book of the God Spirit. As for divine artifacts, the other party only had 2 mid-tier deity-level divine artifacts on him. After extracting them, they became 6 high-tier deity-level divine artifacts. This was considered a good gain. He turned around and realized that Heros, Qi Xiantian, and the others were looking at him in shock. Why are you looking at me? Continue to eliminate the other Scarlet God spirits. Zhou said. Then, he was the first to board his exclusive galaxy and fly to the next location where the Scarlet God spirits had yet to be cleaned up. The gods were left speechless as they watched the galaxy fly away. Heros, how strong do you think His Majesty is now? After a long silence, Zhewu asked Heros. He, who had always been arrogant, actually became a little reserved after seeing Zhou's display of might. I don't know, but he must be better than me. Heros smiled bitterly. As soon as these words were spoken, the other god spirits of the Blazing Sun Kingdom looked at each other speechlessly. They knew Heros' unyielding personality very well. To be able to make him say such convincing words, it could be seen that His Majesty had really convinced Heros. How long has it been? Heros lamented. The other god spirits looked in the direction of the galaxy, their eyes filled with yearning and reverence. Just now, His Majesty had killed that high-tier deity-level advanced grade Scarlet God Spirit in one move without using anything. If His Majesty were to wear all the divine artifacts, how powerful would he be if he were to use his full strength? The gods were very curious. In the galaxy, Zhou sat on the main seat in the captain's room, reviewing the battle just now. He wasn't too proud of his record of defeating a high-tier deity-level advanced grade Scarlet God Spirit in one move. The reason why I was able to defeat a high-tier deity-level advanced grade Scarlet God Spirit in one battle, without using a divine artifact, is most likely because of the Black Iron tier Law Skill King. If I use the Sword of New Dimension Creation again, I should have the combat strength of 2 casual strikes from a true god tier. Next, even if I comprehend the King's Lord Law skill to a higher level, it will probably only increase the number of marked subjects. I shouldn't be able to increase anything else. This increase in strength only allows me to have a few more casual attacks from a true god tier. It's not much of an increase, Zhou thought. However, he had nothing to regret. It was already very exaggerated for him to be able to do this as a legendary tier advanced grade. He was quite easy to satisfy. Next, if I want to increase my strength by a large level, I should only be able to do so when I officially become a god spirit. When I truly become a god spirit, only then will the high-grade bloodlines in my body reveal their true strength. At that time, my strength should undergo a qualitative change. The flames of ambition burned in Zhou's eyes. A moment later, Zhou arrived at the next Scarlet God Spirit. This was a green bronze tier territory. It looked ordinary and nothing special. If not for the support of the 2 emperors and Wu Tu's intelligence, Who would have thought that there would be a mid-tier deity-level intermediate-grade Scarlet God Spirit hidden in such a place? Zhou didn't waste any time. He picked up the sword of New Dimension Creation and flew out of the spaceship. The hunt was still ongoing. Chapter 802 Nine-Headed Nightmare Formation. Rumble. Accompanied by a loud bang, a Scarlet God Spirit with a black body and a single horn fell into a deep hole in the sword aura and quickly stopped breathing. A text notification appeared in front of Zhou, who was high in the sky. You have killed the mid-tier deity God Spirit, Qi Long. Promotion energy plus 40 billion. Condensation of loots completed. Blessing of the War God. You have obtained an additional 320 billion promotion energy points. Faction quests hint. You and your subordinate have successfully killed a high-tier deity-level Scarlet God Spirit without the interference of external forces. You are rewarded with 100 million faction points. Zhou did not pay attention to these text notifications. He closed his eyes and felt the promotion energy surging into his body. Then he opened his eyes and his eyes lit up. Legendary tier advanced grade. Next, it's finally time to become a god. Zhou muttered to himself before he fell into deep thought. From today onwards, he did not have to care too much about the promotion energy. The most important thing was to focus on improving his comprehension of the Lord's Law skill. I have to raise my Law skill, King, to the extraordinary tier level before I can use it as my foundation to advance to become a Lord Law God Spirit. There's still a long way to go, Zhou thought. However, he was not in a hurry. His current combat strength was already high enough. As long as he did not face a true God tier head-on, God spirits below the true God tier posed almost no threat to him. He was not in a hurry to increase his realm and combat strength. Normally speaking, if a life form wants to become a God spirit, law skills must be low-level deity law skills. And this Lord Law actually only requires extraordinary tier Lord Law skills to be used to advance to a Lord Law God Spirit. TSK, as expected of the strongest Lord Law. Zhou sighed. After that, he did not plan to continue killing the other Scarlet God Spirits. Instead, he planned to return to the galaxy and enter the time world to continue comprehending the Lord's Law. He did not want to waste any time. But just as he was about to enter the galaxy, a cold and arrogant laugh sounded. Then a scarlet light suddenly appeared in the sky. Right on the heels of that, this scarlet light suddenly shot out countless scarlet rays in all directions. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped everything within a 100,000-kilometer radius of Zhou and formed a scarlet light barrier. A purple-black illusory creature with pitch-black wings and 9 heads stood on the scarlet light barrier, like a 9-headed demon horse. Among the 9 heads, there was a Scarlet God Spirit emitting at least a mid-tier deity-level aura standing on each head. It was either sneering, indifferent, mocking, or looking at Zhou curiously. Is this the famous king of the blazing sun? He doesn't look like much. Didn't he easily fall into the trap we set up without realizing it at all? This 9-headed nightmare demon array is a top-notch high-tier deity-level advanced grade array given to me by His Majesty. Even a true God tier array is not much stronger than my array. It would be strange if a lord of a myriad race who hasn't even reached the God spirit realm could discover it. TSK, a high-tier deity-level advanced grade demonic array was actually used on a lord of all races. That's true. This guy was the strongest lord of all races last time. Who knows if he has any trump cards rewarded to him by the human race or the supreme will. That's right. Moreover, as a legendary creature, he can actually use some kind of secret technique to erupt with high-tier deity-level combat power. It's really unbelievable. The 9 powerful Scarlet God Spirits discussed Zhou brazenly in their respective array eyes, not caring what Zhou thought at all. Zhou looked at the 9 Scarlet God Spirits with a strange expression. He could tell that these Scarlet God Spirits were all the Scarlet God Spirits who had besieged the Divine Sword Empire. They were also very powerful. There were a total of 6 mid-tier deity levels and 3 high-tier deity levels. However, if he used the Sword of New Dimension Creation, they would still not be enough for him to kill. Wouldn't these guys inquire about his information before finding trouble with him? Or did they have other trump cards? He looked at them and suddenly asked, "Where are your low-level god spirits?" The Scarlet God spirits looked at him in surprise, as if they did not expect this human lord to still be in the mood to care about such a question under such circumstances. Go to the god of death and ask such a question. There was a high-tier deity-level advanced grade Scarlet God spirit in the middle of the 9 heads. The god spirit on him was the most powerful. It was obvious that he was the temporary boss of these Scarlet God spirits. At this moment, he looked at him coldly, as if he was looking at a dead person. They would not make the stupid mistake of the villain dying from talking too much. Open the nightmare divine world and summon the demon god. He continued. As soon as he finished speaking, the expressions of the other 8 Scarlet God spirits immediately turned solemn. They performed hand seals and chanted something. Then, they saw streams of blurry 9-colored light shining from their bodies. Then, these 9-colored lights rose and fused into the 9-headed nightmare realm demon formation. Soon, it covered the entire space of the formation, turning it into a dreamy and evil fallen space in the blink of an eye. Right on the heels of that, wisps of blurry 9-colored light gathered from the array eyes of the 9 Scarlet God spirits, forming a purple-black nightmare that was 10,000 kilometers tall. He exuded a terrifying aura at the true god tier level from head to toe. His deep purple-black eyes seemed to reflect a myriad of dreamy fallen worlds. At that moment, he was looking at Jojo calmly. Jojo also looked at him. He was slightly surprised. This group of Scarlet God spirits had really come prepared. He could sense that this 9-headed demon god had the power of an elementary grade true god tier. Although it seemed to be alone, it was enough to pose a threat to him. Lord Demon God, please kill him. The boss-level Scarlet God spirit's respectful voice sounded between heaven and earth. Puff! The 9-headed demon god snorted and spewed out a ball of purple mist. There were many illusionary fallen dream realms floating in the mist, showing the various fallen realms. Following that, he let out a crisp nasal sound at Jojo. Buzz! The space of the array was shaken by this nasal sound and became slightly unstable. The expressions of the 9 Scarlet God spirits changed, and they hurriedly increased the output of their divine power to barely suppress the array and stabilize it. Jojo, who was facing the 9-headed demon god Phantom's law skill, felt the scene in front of him change. Then, he appeared in a house that was about 60 to 70 square meters. Jojo looked at the house blankly. The house was cleaner and the items were neater. It looked ordinary, but it gave him a warm feeling. This is my rented apartment on Earth? This thought appeared in his mind. Chapter 803 True God Tier Advanced Grade Bloodline. 9-headed Nightmare Demon God Bloodline. At this moment, his phone rang. It was a call from Baby. Hubby, are you picking me up from work tonight? The voice on the other end of the line sounded coquettish. Of course. Jojo smiled subconsciously. Then, he washed up and put on his clothes. He planned to take the bus to his girlfriend's office to pick her up. However, he looked at the small yellow car by the street and suddenly had an idea while waiting for the bus. He felt that he had not taken a small yellow car for a long time. So he swept a small yellow car and rode it to the place where his girlfriend got off work. It's so cooling. Jojo sighed as he rode his bike. Soon he arrived at his girlfriend's workplace. When his girlfriend walked out of the office, he smiled and walked over. He took her hand, and they chatted as they walked towards the bus stop. Along the way, drops of tears fell from his eyes. Honey, what's wrong? His girlfriend noticed Jojo's abnormality and immediately became anxious. It's okay. Jojo touched her face and focused his gaze on her face. He could not bear to look away for a second. He said, I just miss you a little. I missed you too. His girlfriend immediately smiled. Wait for me. I'll come back and see you later. Jojo touched her face. The first time he transmigrated to Cerulean Planet without extraordinary tier power, he felt that he would probably never see his girlfriend again. He only hoped that his sudden departure would not make her too sad and delay her for too long. When he transmigrated to the High Continent for the second time, After spending more than 20 years alone on the cerulean planet, he felt that the hope of seeing the other party again was very slim. He even felt that after so many years, the other party might already be with someone else and had grandchildren. So he completely gave up on the idea of seeing the other party again. This was also one of the reasons why he could accept Leah later. But now he suddenly had a new idea. He might really have a chance to return to Earth in the future. At that time, he would be able to reunite with his family, lover and friends. At this moment, the bus arrived. The girlfriend got on the bus and turned to look at Jojo. She was surprised to find that Jojo did not get on. "Hubby, come up quickly. The car is leaving soon. It'll be up in a minute." After Jojo finished speaking, he immediately activated his king ability and instantly raised his strength to the level of a true god tier. At the same time, his chaos will had also been raised to this level. The next second he saw the world shatter. The roads, tall buildings, buses, pedestrians, and even his girlfriend turned into light spots and disappeared. The massive purple-black body of the nine-headed nightmare demon god appeared in front of him. "You saw through my nightmare art?" The nine-headed demon god's voice boomed. He looked at Jojo in surprise, as if he did not expect this tiny lord of all races to be able to crack his ability. One had to know that as a true god tier, even if his current state was just a trace of divine consciousness, logically speaking, it was not something that a high-tier deity-level advanced grade god spirit could withstand. He looked at Jojo and quickly discovered something. Chaos human bloodline, light sacred dragon bloodline, original spirit race bloodline. There's also a lord-type law skill? I see. I'm not surprised. You're destined to dance on a bigger stage, so how could you fall in the hands of my divine sense? The demon god looked at him in surprise. As a true god tier, due to the uniqueness of the nomological path he took, he knew more secrets about the myriad worlds, and even higher rules than ordinary true god tier. Therefore, he also knew of the existence of the Lord's laws. Even though he only knew a little, it didn't prevent he from knowing how powerful the Lord's laws were, and how difficult it was to grasp them. Therefore, he treated Jojo differently. "I can only use my divine will once. Now that I've done it, I'll leave the rest to you. Little friend of the human race, how about becoming friends?" The nine-headed demon god smiled. Jojo looked at the other party, and could feel that he did not have any ill intentions. Therefore, he naturally nodded without hesitation. "It's my honor." "Haha, then take this as a gift for you." After he finished speaking, he saw a purple-black heart emitting a blurry nine-colored fog appear out of thin air in front of Jojo. Jojo looked over and his eyebrows twitched. Bloodline name: Nine-headed demon god bloodline. Bloodline level: True god tier advanced grade. Bloodline effect: after absorbing it, the user will receive the bloodline of the demon god of the nine-headed nightmare realm. After fusing with the bloodline, the user will gradually awaken the bloodline ability of the demon god as they grow. True god tier advanced grade bloodline. Jojo clicked his tongue. This was already comparable to the original spirit race bloodline he had obtained back then. As expected of a true god tier existence, he gave such a precious gift as soon as he arrived. "How is it?" The nine-headed demon god smiled and asked. "I knew you had the chaos human bloodline, so I knew you needed this the most." "You know about the chaos humans?" Jojo asked curiously. "Relying on my ability, I've heard of some of this race. It's said that it was a very ancient race. It was so ancient that the Supreme Will and the Crimson Overlord had yet to clash. However, I don't know more. After all, not many living beings from that era could survive until now. There were many descendants. For example, the Chaos God's race was the descendant of the Chaos Beast that fought with the Chaos Humans for the territory of survival." The nine-headed demon god said. Jojo nodded. He was already very satisfied to know this. It would be great if there were legacies similar to common sense or secrets in the Chaos Human bloodline heritage. He did not need to know so little about the Chaos Humans like he did now. The nine-headed demon god didn't say anything else and left. After he left, the space inside the nine-headed nightmare formation quickly became clear again, revealing the 9 scarlet god spirits, whose auras had been greatly reduced. Why aren't you dead yet? When they saw the unscathed Zhou appear from the array, their expression changed drastically. Don't you know? The nine-headed demon god is actually my senior. Zhou grinned. What? The 9 scarlet god spirits were stunned. However, Zhou did not give them a chance to be stunned. He first used the heaven-sealing void life concealing technique to seal the space within a radius of 50,000 kilometers. Then, he raised his right hand, and the sword of new dimension creation appeared. At this moment, a powerful might belonging to the true god-tier divine artifacts erupted from its body. The expressions of the 9 scarlet god spirits immediately changed. True god-tier divine artifacts. The leader of the scarlet god spirits finally lost his cool and screamed, "That's right." Zhou grinned and charged forward with his sword. A moment later, with the help of the mysterious merchant, Zhou walked out of the enchantment formed by the sealing technique. He looked at the corpses of the 9 scarlet god spirits neatly placed in the king's treasure box and smiled. Then he looked at the notification that had just appeared. Chapter 804 Ascending to the top of the rankings. You have killed a mid-tier deity-level elementary grade god spirit dark spirit. Promotion energy plus 20 billion. Loots condensed. Blessing of the war god. You have received an additional 1.6 trillion promotion energy points. Faction quests notification. You have successfully killed a mid-tier deity-level elementary grade scarlet god spirit without the interference of any external forces. Reward, 50 million faction points. You have killed the mid-tier deity god spirit. Qilong, promotion energy plus 40 billion. Condensation of loots completed. Blessing of the war god. You have received an additional 64 trillion promotion energy points. Faction quests notification. You have successfully killed a mid-tier deity-level advanced grade scarlet god spirit without the interference of any external forces. Reward, 90 million faction points. Faction quests notification. You have successfully killed a mid-tier deity-level advanced grade scarlet god spirit without the interference of any external forces. Reward, 90 million faction points. Blessing of the war god. You have received an additional 64 trillion promotion energy points. Faction quests hint. You and your subordinate have successfully killed a high-tier deity-level scarlet god spirit without the interference of external forces. You are rewarded with 100 million faction points. You have killed a high-tier deity intermediate grade scarlet god spirit stranger. Promotion energy plus 400 billion. Loots condensed. System announcement. Faction quests. God slaying has been completed. Zhou smiled and shook his head at the end. He originally wanted to let his subordinates deal with these scarlet god spirits as food for them to increase their strength. He did not expect these guys to bump into him on their own. All their promotion energy had fallen into his pocket, and he had completed the god-slaying quests. He did not mind. After all, there were not many other things in the high continent. There were too many fog monsters to count. Bai Yin and the others would not lack energy for advancement. Then, he calculated the points obtained from killing the 9 scarlet god spirits, and realized that he had obtained a total of 660 million faction points. In addition, during the previous operation, he had killed 2 scarlet god spirits alone, and obtained 170 million points. Also, before he came to the Divine Sword Empire, Heros, Qi Xiantian, and the other god spirits had helped him kill the 2 scarlet god spirits and obtained 60 million faction points. Today, he had obtained a total of 890 million faction points. Zhou could not help but take a deep breath. This was a total of 890 million faction points. Not to mention the lords of the normal races. Even for the top lords of the 10,000 races, it was an unimaginable number of faction points. His heart skipped a beat. He opened the rankings and looked at the current rankings. Myriad Races Lord Faction Points Ranking. First place. Human, Lord of the Blazing Sun. 1,269,000,000 faction points. Second place. Original Spirit Race. True Lord. 810 million faction points. Third place. Shepherd's God Race. Heaven Chasing Lord. 412 million faction points. Fourth place. Chaos Gods Race, Great One Lord 390 million faction points. 5th place, Myriad Spirit Race, Spiritual Venerable Lord, 123,009,000 faction points. As expected, he has reached the top. A smile appeared on Zhou's face. With more than 800 million faction points, it would be strange if he did not reach the top. In 7 days, he reached the top of the Lord faction points ranking. It's much faster than I thought. Zhou lamented. He did not expect himself to reach the top so quickly. Who asked him to increase his strength so quickly? However, he did not have any arrogant thoughts at this moment. This was because the lead was only temporary. Until the end of the event, the champion of this King of 10,000 Kings event would forever be unknown. Zhou was very clear-headed. Then he opened the World Channel and took a look. Not surprisingly, since any change on the faction points, ranking of the lords of all races, that received a lot of attention, could immediately attract the attention of countless humans on the cerulean planet. Not to mention the change in King of the Blazing Suns, ranking as the representative of the human race on cerulean planet. Dragon Blood Kingdom Dragon Lady Lord. Congratulations to Your Majesty for obtaining the top spot in the rankings. Military Industry Kingdom Military Industry Lord. Congratulations to Your Majesty for obtaining the top spot in the rankings. Mystic Heaven Kingdom, Mystic Heaven Lord. Congratulations to Your Majesty for obtaining the top spot in the rankings. Undead Kingdom, Undead Lord. Congratulations to Your Majesty for obtaining the top spot in the rankings. I'm shocked. I thought that King of the Blazing Sun might be able to reach the top of the rankings this time. But isn't this too fast? It hasn't even been a third of the time since the event. Brother Jiaoyang, you can do it. There are still 23 days left. You have to stabilize your position in the remaining time. That's right. The champion of the previous event was His Majesty Jiaoyang. This time we must win as well. Isn't this too much of a wind howl around the highest peaks? Only the weak keep a low profile. The strong do things in a high-profile manner. Your Majesty is awesome. Your Majesty, you're my fan. No, I'm your fan. When Zhou saw these conversations, a smile appeared on his face. Then he opened other channels. In the Kingdom Channel, the Night Empire Camp Channel, the Divine Sword Empire World Channel, and the Elven Empire World Channel, the lords of countless races were also discussing the matter of the Lord of the Blazing Sun reaching the top of the rankings. He looked at it for a long time and satisfied his vanity before turning it off. Then he began to think about the future. Currently, the only faction points that the Divine Sword Empire can still earn are those fog monsters scattered throughout the Divine Sword Empire's territory. According to the information Uncle Lu gave me, their numbers add up to about 145 billion. Their average strength is also quite high. But it sounds strong. However, without the support of the Scarlet God spirits, these fog monsters are no longer a concern. With the help of Qi Xiantian, Guoqiao, Heros, and the others, and the fact that the galaxy can quickly rush to the place where the fog monsters are gathered, I should be able to eliminate them today. This way, I can complete the Divine Sword Empires, save the Divine Sword Empire faction quests. After, we can ask Uncle Lu and Uncle Ji to see if the other 3 human empires need help. This way we might be able to obtain similar faction quests. With my current military strength, if the situation of the other 3 human empires is similar, I should be able to resolve it. This way, I can obtain a large number of faction points. Other than that, I have to find those existences that the Supreme will hates. If I kill them, I can also obtain a lot of faction points. As for how the other faction points would be used, Zhou had not thought of it yet. However, these 2 channels were enough for him to eat for a while. At this moment, another galaxy flew over from afar. Then Bai Yin Qi Xiantian, Feng Luo Wu Xian, and the other god spirits flew down from the spaceship and arrived in front of Zhou. Chapter 805 True Divine Artifact, Eternal Fallen Styx Divine Armor. True Divine Artifacts, 9-headed Nightmare Realm Demon God's Heart. Greetings, Your Majesty, the deity said respectfully. Zhou nodded casually. Heros looked around and realized that there were no scarlet god spirits. Furthermore, this place was filled with large-scale traces of the battle. He smiled and said, "Looks like we're a step too late. The mid-tier deity-level intermediate god spirit named Qi Long has already been dealt with by His Majesty." The other god spirits nodded and looked at Zhou Zhou in admiration. "Your Majesty, let's set off to where the next scarlet god spirit is." Wuxia smiled. He had just become a god spirit and had yet to fight with other god spirits. Even though he was old, he still wanted to find a scarlet god spirit with similar strength to try. "Keep the change. I've dealt with the 6 mid-tier deity level and 3 high-tier deity level scarlet god spirits around the Divine Sword Empire. As for the remaining low-level scarlet god spirits, they have already left the vicinity of the Divine Sword Empire." Zhou Zhou shook his head. Just now, when he was dealing with those scarlet god spirits, he had specially left behind the last scarlet god spirit to interrogate them about their situation. Hence, he obtained this information. Reality had to be real. In front of his Lord Talent, no one could lie to him, not even a god spirit. He felt that it was a pity. If those low-tier deity-level god spirits did not leave, he would be able to obtain another sum of faction points. However, there was no choice. According to the Scarlet God Spirit, there could not be too many Scarlet God Spirits gathered in one area, or it would be a waste of energy. When those lesser God Spirits saw so many high-level Scarlet God Spirits gathered, they could only leave the Divine Sword Empire for other areas. Bai Yin and the other God Spirits were stunned. All taken care of, they knew that His Majesty would definitely not lie to them, and there was no need to lie to them. However, it was precisely because of this that they found it even more unbelievable. How long has it been? While they were on their way, His Majesty had actually killed so many Scarlet God Spirits. Ridiculous. All the gods had the same thought. In the crowd, Heros looked at Zhou Zhou. His Majesty should have strength comparable to a true god tier. He thought to himself. Even though this conclusion was a little unbelievable, it was the truth. Only a true god tier could deal with so many mid-tier deity-level Scarlet God Spirits and high-tier deity-level Scarlet God Spirits in such a short time after all. Heros Zewu Bai Yin Wu Xian. The 4 of you will stay behind and be in charge of protecting the soldiers and continuing to clean up the fog monsters around the Divine Sword Empire's territory. The other god spirits come with me to deal with Gallows, Castro, Injiga, and Tamir. These 4 existences are hated by the Supreme Resistance. Zhou Zhou ordered in a low voice. There were not many threats around the Divine Sword Empire, so he naturally could not waste his precious god spirit power here. Garlos and Castro were the targets that Wu Tu had scouted out previously, while Injiga and Tamir were the specific locations that Wu Tu had just found today. There was still a lot of time today. With the galaxy around, he could solve all of them. Yes, Your Majesty, the gods said. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Then, everyone split into 2 teams. One team boarded the galaxy and headed to where the Blazing Sun Kingdom soldiers were, while the other team was led by Zhou Zhou to board the galaxy and head to the low-tier deity-level elementary-grade Scarlet God Spirit, the advanced kingdom of the human race where Gallos was currently located, the Tianzi Kingdom. In the spaceship, in the captain's room, Zhou Zhou sat in the captain's seat and was examining the corpses of the 9 Scarlet God Spirits in his king's treasure box. With a thought, he directly extracted the loots from the corpses of the 9 Scarlet God Spirits. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, the corpses of the 9 Scarlet God Spirits turned into a large number of spoils of war, even piling up into 9 small hills. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he scanned it carefully with his consciousness. Soon, surprise appeared in his eyes. This was because these 9 Scarlet God Spirits had not only provided him with a large number of divine artifacts, God-tier materials, God-tier potions, law skills, God-tier secret techniques, and God-tier inheritances. Most importantly, among them he discovered 6 true God-tier artifacts. These 6 true God-tier artifacts were all provided by the most powerful high-tier deity-level advanced grade God Spirit, the Garen Emperor. They were a low-level high-tier deity-level Nether Radiant Emperor armor, and a high-tier advanced grade array treasure, the 9-headed Nightmare Realm Demon God statue. After they were strengthened by the King of Lutes, they became 3 low-level True God Tier Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor, and a True God Advanced Grade Array Treasure, the 9-headed Nightmare Realm Demon God's Heart. I've struck it rich. I actually obtained 6 True God Tier treasures directly, including the 3 Sword of New Dimension creations in my hands. I now have a total of 9 True God Tier treasures. Zhou was extremely excited. Then, he immediately looked at the specific information of these 2 True God Tier treasures. The first was the Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor. The Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor was grayish-white in color and was engraved with complicated nomological patterns. At first glance, there seemed to be a boundless world inside. In this world, densely packed souls rushed towards an Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor with fear on their faces. They were like moths to a flame, looking mysterious and strange. Divine Artifact Name: Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor. Divine Artifact Grade: True God Tier Elementary Grade. Divine Artifact Law 1. Summonerial of the Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor. The Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor is forged from the water of the Eternal River. After absorbing a certain number of souls, the Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor and the demi-plane in his body could advance to a higher level. Divine Artifact Law 2. External Indestruction. The Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor is a creation of the Netherworld's resistance. As long as the Netherworld is not destroyed, the Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor will not be destroyed. Attacks from the outside world that were below the True God Tier Elementary Grade would automatically absorb at least 90% of the attack power when they landed on the Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor and transfer it to the Eternal Nether River. Only 10% of the attack power would be defended by the wearer. When facing attacks of lower-level True God Tier and above, the Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor also had a certain attack weakening ability. Divine Artifact Law 3. Eternal Fall Soul. Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor is the nemesis of all souls during the Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor. It is immune to soul attacks from true gods below the elementary grade. The Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor also has an extremely high attack weakening ability. Any soul that is exposed will be extremely afraid of the owner of the Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor and will fall into it uncontrollably. Prompt: it can be bound to the soul. What a terrifying True God Tier armor! Just by looking at these descriptions, Zhou felt that the Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor was a little terrifying. However, he still put one on himself without thinking and put the remaining 2 into the king's treasure box. He looked at the Eternal Fallen Sticks Divine Armor on his body and smiled. It had to be said that wearing True God Tier armor made him feel very safe. At the thought of this, he even felt that this armor was a little cute. Then he looked at another treasure. Divine Artifact Name: 9-headed Nightmare Realm Demon God's Heart. Divine Artifact Grade: True God Tier Advanced Grade. Divine Artifact Law: summon the 9-headed Nightmare Demon God. Summon the 9-headed Nightmare Demon God to descend, and ask him to grant himself a reasonable wish within the scope of the highest rules. Prompt: it can be bound to the soul. Zhou was stunned. His first thought was, the introduction of a True God Tier Advanced Grade Divine Artifact was actually so short? And when he saw what it could do, he gasped. A True God Tier Advanced Grade 9-headed Nightmare Demon God had agreed to his request? Even if it was just a reasonable wish that was within the scope of the supreme rules, it was still priceless. I found a treasure. Zhou looked at the other 2 9-headed Nightmare Realm Demon Gods' hearts and smiled foolishly. That was a total of 3 wishes. Chapter 806: Insight Defection. After laughing foolishly, Zhou gradually calmed down. He looked at the 9-headed Nightmare Realm Demon God's heart and realized that this wish was not omnipotent. The phrase reasonable and within the scope of the supreme rules was the main point. Zhou was deep in thought. According to his understanding, the reasonable and within the scope of the supreme rules, it was estimated that the first was that he could not violate the supreme rules. For example, he asked the demon god of the 9-headed Nightmare Realm to give him a divine kingdom. The Supreme Rule definitely wouldn't be willing for him to destroy the Lord of all races competition like this. He probably wouldn't fulfill this wish. Another example was Zhou asking the nine-headed demon god to commit suicide so that he could retrieve his spoils of war. The nine-headed nightmare demon god would never agree to such a plan. He might even feel that he had offended this demon god and might even kill him. The divine artifact didn't mention that the demon god he summoned was the same demon god he knew. Even if he summoned it, it should only be an equal relationship. It was just that the other party had to help him fulfill a wish. He thought for a moment, opened his personal terminal, and sent a message to Ji Yun and Lu Zhen to ask about their situation. The other party did not reply. Zhou was not in a hurry and waited slowly. The Tianzi kingdom was about 1.6 billion kilometers away from the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Zhou and company first used the teleportation array to return to the Blazing Sun Kingdom before piloting the galaxy. In less than 2 minutes, they arrived at the Tianzi Kingdom. At this moment, this low-tier deity-level elementary-grade Scarlet God Spirit was following an Empire-level Scarlet Army and besieging the capital city of the Tianzi Kingdom. At this moment, in the capital of the Tianzi Kingdom, the city wall shattered and blood flowed. The capital city was in danger. Garlos was a Scarlet God Spirit transformed from a fallen angel with 6 pairs of pitch-black wings that was more than 20 meters tall. At this moment, he was following the other Scarlet God Spirits to attack the capital of this high-level human kingdom, hoping to break through the kingdom's capital's protective array. It had to be said that the Tianzi Kingdom was an advanced kingdom, so it still had some foundation. The Empire-level Scarlet Army had a total of 6 Scarlet God Spirits on their side, and there was even a high-tier deity-level Scarlet God Spirit among them. However, they were actually unable to do anything to the kingdom protection formation for a while. However, from the few long cracks that could be vaguely seen above the array, it was only a matter of time before they broke through the country protecting formation. In the interlayer of space, in the galaxy, Zhou and the others were watching the battle through the virtual external screen. In a short half a month, at most 3 months, this kingdom protection array will probably be broken. Zaiwu said lazily. Even though this Empire-level Scarlet Army is said to be Empire-level, there are no Empire-level soldier types among them, Heras said. This is also the reason why the Tianzi Kingdom can last until now. If these fog monster soldiers of more than 250 million Empire-level armies are all Empire-level soldier types, even if the Tianzi Kingdom is an advanced kingdom with a deep foundation and many trump cards, it would have been destroyed long ago. The other god spirits nodded solemnly. Empire-level soldier types were all geniuses who could fight above their level in the modern world. Even though it could not be as exaggerated as Nazario in the early days, when he could fight someone 2 levels higher. However, it was still easy to defeat an enemy 1 level higher. They'll activate Insight Defection later and instigate some of the other party's fog monster soldiers, then cause a civil war. You guys take advantage of the chaos to kill the Scarlet God Spirit among them. Zhou said. Yes, Your Majesty. The gods spoke in unison. Zhou acknowledged. Even though it was a little dangerous to charge at an Empire-level Scarlet Army. After all, even if there were many ants, they could bite an elephant to death. Moreover, they were not weak ants. However, not to mention the powerful strength of the Insight Defection, and them, just the fact that they had a true god-tier combat power, like him behind them meant that they did not have to worry about their safety. After that, Zhou and the god spirits flew out of the galaxy one after another. Then Zaiwu, Feng Luo, Guoqiao, Luo Yuan, Tritalent Sword Immortal, and Wu Xian were the first to charge towards these scarlet god spirits with sinister smiles. Heras, Qixiantian and Vicky did not move. The 3 of them stood side by side and attacked almost at the same time. A fiery red flame that was incomparably scorching like a meteor. A scarlet gold sword chi that was swift and fierce to the point it seemed to be able to split the heavens and split the earth. And an ice spear that was piercingly cold to the bone and seemed to be able to freeze the ground. They shot out in unison, emitting intense law skill fluctuations. In the blink of an eye, they approached this Empire-level Scarlet Army. Enemy attack. The high-tier deity-level intermediate-grade Scarlet God Spirit Legion commander, who led the Empire-level Scarlet Army, discovered the 3 law skill attacks that came from the pounce. In particular, 2 of the attacks emitted a power that was comparable to his full-strength strike, making he feel even more terrified. This meant that there were at least 2 enemies that were not much weaker than him nearby. There was no time to think. He immediately used law skills to defend with the other Scarlet God Spirits. Their reactions were also extremely fast. Under the combined defense, the combined attack power of the 3 gods was really mostly negated. The remaining attacks only killed or injured more than 1,000 Scarlet Fog monsters. But that didn't matter, because the conditions for Insight Defection had been met. Zhou raised his right hand and calmly activated Insight Defection. The next second, an invisible fluctuation instantly covered the 230 million Scarlet Fog monsters. A text notification appeared. Prompt: you have activated your Lord's exclusive talent, Insight Defection. Insight Defection has taken effect. Lord Talent Notification. There are a total of 19,005,412 Black Iron Tier Fog monsters, 15,606,790 Green Bronze Tier Fog monsters, 13,669,988 White Silver Tier Fog monsters, 10,107,540 Yellow Gold Tier Fog monsters, 6,148,571 White Platinum Tier Fog monsters, 2,017,500 Diamond Tier Fog monsters, 501,850 Extraordinary Tier Fog monsters, 201,512 Epic Tier Fog monsters, 246 Legendary Tier Fog monsters, have betrayed their lord's faction and become your loyal subordinates. 67,243,659 Fog monsters have been incited by Insight Defection. Not bad. Zhou nodded. Even though this number was far inferior to the soldiers produced by the monster ranches every day, the monster ranch only produced new recruits. These were all veterans who had a certain level of strength and could directly go to the battlefield. So there was no more important difference between the two. Disrupt their formation. The bigger the chaos, the better, Zhou silently ordered in his heart. The next second, the Scarlet Fog soldiers who had been incited by Insight Defection turned around and brandished their weapons at their former comrades with a sinister smile. Some of the military formations that could only be activated with the support of the soldiers completely collapsed because of the internal strife. Under the confused gazes of the humans of the Tianzi Kingdom, the enemy they had been dealing with so bitterly just now had inexplicably started beating themselves up. When the Scarlet God Spirits heaved a sigh of relief, after successfully resisting the attacks of Heros and the other God Spirits, they turned around and saw this scene that made their eyes widen. Chapter 8074 Symbols Demon Imprisoning Arrow Realm. Insight Defection. Damn it! What's going on? The Empire-level Legion commander roared. Garlos also looked at this scene in bewilderment. At this moment, they noticed the gods of the Blazing Sun Kingdom flying down from the sky with astonishing killing intent. The Legion commander of the Scarlet Legion was immediately shocked and wanted to gather the soldiers to form a military formation to counterattack. Since they were backed by an entire Empire-level Scarlet Army, unless an enemy true god tier, or an even stronger existence. If only a few normal god spirits dared to barge into the army alone, they would basically not pose any threat to the army. They might even be able to permanently keep the enemy god spirits, who dared to barge in with the help of the army soldiers. However, even though his idea was good, at this moment, the entire Empire-level Scarlet Army had already been completely thrown into chaos by a quarter of the Insight Defection soldiers. Even if some soldiers wanted to form a military formation, they were powerless. Hence, they could only watch as Bai Yun, Wu Xian, Feng Luo, and the others charged into his army without restraint, killing all the enemies that stood in their way. Then they ran straight for Garlos. Garlos was shocked when he saw this scene. Then, without any time to think about why these god spirits were targeting him, He turned around and flew in the opposite direction. You want to run? As Bai Yin flew with all her might, she took out the bow and arrow from her back and drew the bow. Bang! The arrow string was like a full moon. 4 divine arrows that were emitting crimson, yellowish brown, jade blue, and sky blue radiance hung on Bai Yin's divine artifact bow. Go! Roar! 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 The 4 divine arrows were like 4 divine dragons, each emitting the intense power of the 4 laws of earth, water, wind, and fire. In the blink of an eye, they rushed to the 4 directions of Galos. Then, they each emitted a dazzling 4-colored light. The light intertwined and actually formed a 4-colored spirit formation. Battle formation law skill. 4 symbols demon imprisoning arrow realm. Garlos looked at the 4 symbols demon imprisoning arrow realm that surrounded him in shock and anger. He took out his huge saber weapons and slashed at the 4 symbols demon imprisoning arrow realm. However, the 4 symbols demon imprisoning arrow realm did not seem to waver at all. Ah! Garlos roared at the sky, and his body actually emitted a faint blood-colored light spot. Right on the heels of that, his aura increased rapidly. Low-tier deity level intermediate grade, low-tier deity level advanced grade, mid-tier deity level elementary grade. It wasn't until he reached this realm that his aura stopped rising. Then, he didn't dare to waste any time and slashed at the 4 symbols demon imprisoning arrow world again. However, he found it unbelievable. His full-strength attack at the mid-tier deity level elementary grade couldn't even break through the barrier released by this low-tier deity level elementary grade god spirit. Not even a crack appeared on the barrier. Garlos began to doubt his life. Did I really become a mid-tier deity level elementary grade? At the same time, Bai Yin, who had rushed over, had a calm expression. Her 4 symbols demon imprisoning arrow realm looked simple, but it was actually a fusion law skill that she had created by combining the laws of archery and the laws of military formations. This 4 symbols demon imprisoning arrow realm seemed to have been created by her power. However, it was actually created by her, using 1% of the strength of the entire Blazing Sun Army. Currently, the total number of soldiers in the Blazing Sun Army has already exceeded 2 billion. It was undoubtedly the Blazing Sun Kingdom's #1 army. With such a large number of Blazing Sun Army soldiers, in addition to Qi Xiantian, Heros, and other existences with high-tier deity-level combat power, they were also members of the Blazing Sun Army. The 1% of power that Bai Yin could borrow could only be described as vast and terrifying. Using so much borrowed power to create the 4 symbols demon binding arrow realm, let alone imprisoning a scarlet god spirit that had temporarily erupted with mid-tier deity-level combat power. Even a high-tier deity-level expert would be trapped in her 4 symbols demon imprisoning arrow realm for a period of time. Just as Garlos was trapped in the 4 symbols demon imprisoning arrow realm and could not escape, Qi Xiantian and the other god spirits had already flown over and looked at his with a sinister smile. Trying to run? Where do you think you're going? Zaiwu mocked. This scarlet god spirit is also a genius god spirit. A low-tier deity level elementary grade can actually erupt with the strength of a mid-tier deity level elementary grade. It looks like it's some kind of talent. Heros commented with a smile. The other god spirits nodded. After that, they did not waste any time. After Bai Yin opened the enchantment, they directly dealt with Garlos. Even though he had relied on his talent and mystic techniques to greatly increase his strength, he still had no power to resist in front of so many powerful Blazing Sun Kingdom god spirits. At the same time, a text notification also appeared in front of Zhou. King of 10,000 Kings event announcement. You have led your territory's soldiers to kill the deputy commander of the Black Cloud Scarlet Legion from the beginner Scarlet Empire. Jix Scarlet Empire Garlos. Tier deity level elementary grade. You have made outstanding contributions to this King of 10,000 Kings event. You are rewarded with 1 bottle of potential advancement potion, low-tier deity level elementary grade. 1 book of the God Spirit, low-tier deity level elementary grade. 100 divine crystals, low-tier deity level elementary grade. And 1 talent crystal. King of 10,000 Kings event hint. You have obtained the achievement Scarlet Beheader, low-tier deity level. Scarlet Beheader, low-tier deity level worth 10 million Universal General Faction points. Zhou glanced at the event notification and retracted his gaze. For him, this reward was only SOSO, only the potential advancement potion, low-tier deity level elementary grade, was still worth a look. The other rewards, excluding the talent crystal that he had never seen before, were only SOSO. He took out the talent crystal and took a look. He realized that the talent in this talent crystal was none other than the secret technique that Garlos had used to temporarily increase his strength. It was called Heart Explosion. At the cost of losing the god spirit's blood essence in his heart, he could temporarily increase his strength by a large level. The highest level he could increase was the mid-tier deity level god spirit to the high-tier deity level. The price was that he would be weakened for a period of time. Furthermore, he needed a large amount of supplements to nourish the god spirit's blood essence. Otherwise, he might lose his potential. Zhou thought for a moment and learned it himself. Perhaps he could use this talent when he was in a desperate situation. However, it was better to use it less often. The last target was the Legion commander of the Empire-level Scarlet Legion. He has the strength of a high-tier deity level. This time, he's the deputy commander of the Empire-level Scarlet Legion. He has the strength of a lesser god, but he has a secret technique to increase his strength. The Supreme Will. This is asking me to specially choose elites or geniuses to kill. Zhou began to figure out the principle behind the Eye of Heaven's Annihilation's search for a target. Your Majesty, the target has been killed. What should we do next? At this moment, Bai Yun's plea came from the display screen in front of him. We're already here. Let's get rid of the Scarlet God spirits here while we're at it. As for the remaining Mist Legion soldiers, well, leave them to the Tianzi Kingdom to deal with. We didn't bring our troops here, so we won't do such laborious work. Attack with all your might. There's no need to worry. I'm here. Zhou ordered casually. Then he thought of some things from the past, and could not help but laugh. In the past, he was also a cautious lord who relied on Nazario's protection to attack the territory of the fog monsters without any scruples. Now he had actually changed his character and become their protector? The development of the world was indeed wondrous. Yes, Your Majesty. Chapter 808 Decision. Zhou picked up the video call. Soon, Ji Yun and Lu Zhen's faces appeared on the terminal screen. At the same time, not far from them stood a sage-like Taoist in a blue Taoist robe and a Huayang scarf. He held a horsetail whisk and carried a sword on his back. It was the Sword Emperor Fuyo, Lu Yan. Beside he was a benevolent-looking emperor wearing a royal robe and a crown. His body was somewhat illusory and transparent. He didn't look like his true body had arrived. It was Yellow Emperor Xianyuan. However, at this moment, both of them had solemn expressions. Zhou's heart sank when he saw this. He had a bad feeling. It's Zhou. We just came back from fighting the 3 abyssal demon gods and saw the message you sent. Ji enforced a smile. Uncle Ji, how's Temple Lord Bai He? Zhou asked. As soon as these words were spoken, Ji Yun and Lu Zhen fell silent. You don't have to worry about this. We will definitely save His Excellency Bai He. Lu Zhen said. Even the undying god is useless? Zhou frowned. Logically speaking, with the undying god around, even if they faced 3 true god-tier existences at the same time, they still had a certain chance of winning. After all, that was a treasure created by a master god tier. Its effect was almost comparable to true god tier divine artifacts. It's not that it's useless, but there is no place to use it. Ji Yin sighed. Lu Zhen nodded silently. You're my little friend Blazing Sun? At this moment, a gentle and refreshing voice sounded. The Yellow Emperor and Patriarch Lu walked over one after another, smiling and looking curiously at Zhou's appearance on the terminal. Junior Zhou greets Senior Yellow Emperor and Patriarch Lu. Junior Zhou greets Senior Yellow Emperor and Patriarch Lu. Hee, there's no need to be so polite. The Yellow Emperor shook his head and looked at Zhou in admiration. I've heard a lot about you. Not bad. I didn't expect our human race to give birth to a genius like you. You've done something that many lords in the history of our human race have failed to do. Exactly. We've seen the Undying God scroll you gave us. It's really a divine item, as expected of a saint's creation. Patriarch Lu stroked his beard and sighed. To immortals, Master God tiers were like saints. Even though their paths were different, they were still worthy of respect and reverence. Thank you for your praise, Senior. In addition, I was only lucky to obtain the Undying God. Zhou did not overly humble himself and smiled faintly. The Undying God scroll was indeed found in the treasure vault of the Ice Demon Kingdom. It was not even a treasure enhanced by his spoils of War King. Facing such a treasure that fell from the sky, one could only describe it as luck. Your luck is so deep that even I can't understand it. The Yellow Emperor observed Zhou for a moment, and could not help but exclaim, "It's only natural that you can obtain a divine item like the Undying God." Senior, how is Temple Lord Baihe doing? Zhou did not want to talk too much about this topic, and directly asked his doubts. Patriarch Lu revealed a worried expression. The Yellow Emperor thought for a moment and said, "The tyranny and tyranny of the Dark Sovereign." Asgrad used his 3 layers of Abyssal Divine Kingdom as the foundation. Together with the Queen of Spiders, Lorsi, and the Undying Sovereign, Orcus, they set up a true god-level restriction, and sealed Baihe in the depths of the abyss. These 3 abyssal true god tiers are also inside the restriction, and are working together to harm His Excellency Baihe. If we don't save Baihe in time, he might die. We tried to break the restriction just now, but we couldn't break it at all. The 3 abyss true god tiers refused to come out. They should be thinking of letting Baihe die first before coming out to deal with us. We can't do anything against such an enemy for the time being. Just as he finished speaking, Ji Yun and Lu Zhen sighed softly. Your Holiness, why did you tell him about this? Aren't you just worried? Lu Zhen could not help but ask. Don't be rude to His Holiness the Yellow Emperor. Patriarch Lu frowned. I'm sorry, Your Holiness. Lu Zhen knew that he had crossed the line, and immediately apologized obediently. It's fine. The Yellow Emperor always had a gentle and indifferent smile on his face. As a junior, it's a good thing to be worried about Senior. Are we happy just because we don't care about anything? Besides, little friend Blazing Sun is different. It's very likely that he will join our human race's Supreme Council in the future. Knowing some information about the upper echelons of the human race, in advance, might not be a bad thing for him. The Yellow Emperor said seriously. There was something else that he didn't say. If Zhou knew that Baihe was likely to die, he could also see his true attitude towards the human race from his reaction. If he did not abandon the humans, and thought of ways to protect them, and make them better, the Yellow Emperor, and the others would naturally not treat Zhou badly. If Zhou knew that Baihe was about to perish, and that the human race was about to fall into a period of weakness, he would suddenly act indifferently towards the human race. He might even have the intention of leaving his race, and joining another race. The human race would naturally not invest in him, to prevent things like to make ducks and drakes of misfortune from happening. It was not as if this had never happened to the human race before. As the highest leader of the human race other than Imperial Lord Pangu, the Yellow Emperor naturally had to be wary of this matter. If they wanted to nurture Zhou with all their might within the terms of the Supreme Agreement, they would need to pay a huge amount of resources. Zhou frowned. This was a little tricky. However, there was still a way. He now had 3 defensive true god tier divine artifacts, the Eternal Fallen Stick's divine armor, 3 offensive true god tier divine artifacts, the Sword of New Dimension Creation, and 3 9-headed Nightmare Realm Demon God's Hearts. If they were used, Baihe's crisis would definitely be easily resolved. The problem was, would Zhou dare to use it? He fell into deep thought. Seeing Zhou's expression, the Yellow Emperor, Patriarch Lu, Ji Yun, and Lu Zhen sighed in their hearts. They did not think that Zhou could come up with a solution. Why don't we ask the Emperor to help? Patriarch Lu asked after a moment of hesitation. The Yellow Emperor was silent. Ji Yun and Lu Zhen did not dare to speak. Even though they could save Baihe with the help of the Emperor, it also meant that the Emperor's recovery process was completely in vain. If they wanted to wait for the emperor to recover, it would take a long time. It also meant that it would take a long time for the human race to return to its peak. If they didn't ask the emperor to help, he would definitely die. Once this news was leaked, the human race would be in danger of losing a top-notch expert. On one hand, the future potential of the human race had been damaged. On the other hand, the human race was currently in danger. How should he choose? After a long time, Il asked the emperor for help. The Yellow Emperor said. But Patriarch Lu hesitated and struggled. The Imperial Lord was the founder of the human race. He was very noble and revered in the hearts of all humans. It could be said that every human who knew the history of the emperor was willing to sacrifice their lives for the emperor's return. Not to mention that the emperor's return was an accident for the future and revival of the human race. Even if he sacrificed himself at this time, there might still be a possibility of reviving the emperor when he comes back in the future. This was also why he was hesitating. There's no need to say anything else. He'll use a secret technique to wake the emperor. The Yellow Emperor's expression became resolute. Then, he was about to use a secret technique to contact the emperor. But Patriarch Lu pursed his lips. We must save Temple Lord Bai He. At this moment, Zhou grit voice sounded. However, we don't have to wake the emperor up. As soon as he said this, everyone looked at him in shock. Even the Yellow Emperor, who was about to use the secret technique, looked up at Zhou in surprise. Chapter 809 Shock. My good nephew, don't spout nonsense at this time. Lu Zhen hurriedly said. Are you kidding me? Could he save Bai He without awakening the emperor? If the Yellow Emperor and the old ancestor could not do anything, what could a junior like him do? I'm not talking nonsense, Uncle Lu. Zhou said in a deep voice. But before I say this method, I want to ask one thing. If Senior Yellow Emperor and Senior Lu have true God-tier divine artifacts, can they save Temple Lord Bai He? Also, can they hide the aura of the true God-tier divine artifacts during the battle? As soon as these words were spoken, be it the Yellow Emperor, Patriarch Lu Jiyun, or Lu Zhen, they all thought of something and disbelief and surprise appeared in their eyes. The next second, the Yellow Emperor waved his right hand and set up an isolation barrier around him to prevent other life forms from eavesdropping on their conversation. You have true God-tier divine artifacts. Patriarch Lu said excitedly. Yes. Zhou nodded affirmatively. He still decided to take out his true God-tier divine artifacts. Bai He was his benefactor to a certain extent after all. If not for Bai He's trust in him, Zhou might not have been able to get along so well with the humans. There was another key point. Bai He was the Temple Lord of the Night Temple, and the Night Temple was one of his Lord talents. Even if Bai He died, it would not affect the Lord talent of the Night Temple. At most, they could choose another Temple Lord to take over his position. However, to Zhou, there would more or less be some losses, be it in terms of the future of the human race, or in terms of personal benefits. Zhou had a reason to try and save Bai He. Therefore, he chose to give it a try. In any case, even if he failed, he would not lose much. But once he won, it would be very beneficial to him. Thinking of this, there was no reason for him not to do it. As for the trump card of the Dragon Sacrifice Holy Tower, Zhou did not choose to use he after some thought. Firstly, the Dragon Sacrifice Holy Tower did not 100% summon the Master God tier, the extreme world-honored dragon. Secondly, the Dragon Sacrifice Holy Tower was a trump card that had a chance of summoning a Master God tier big shot. Zhou didn't want to use it unless he was in a desperate situation. In this way, true God tier divine artifacts were the best choice. With the true God tier divine artifacts and the Undying God Scroll, we have an 80% chance of rescuing Bai He. Also, it's true that we don't have any secret techniques to conceal the aura of the true God tier divine artifacts. As the Yellow Emperor said this, he suddenly smiled. However, it's different now. In order to secretly assassinate Bai He, the three abyssal true gods specially set up that restriction in the depths of the abyss. As long as we can use the true God tier divine artifacts to break the restriction and enter the restriction to fight, the battle fluctuations at the true God tier divine artifact level won't be leaked. As for the fluctuations of breaking the restriction, I'm afraid that's inevitable. However, as long as we're fast enough, we shouldn't be discovered. That's right. Patriarch Lu nodded as well. Zhou nodded and said, then there's no time to lose. Everyone come to my territory to look for me first. I will personally hand over the true God tier divine artifacts to everyone. Okay. The four gods nodded without hesitation, then hung up the video call. After hanging up, they looked at each other in disbelief. Does he really have true God tier divine artifacts? Lu Zhen could not help but ask. There should be. This young friend Jiaoyang doesn't seem like someone who would lie at a time like this. Besides, don't forget that he gave us many divine artifacts previously. Patriarch Lu said. The Yellow Emperor also nodded. Then, they did not waste any more time, and flew in the direction they came from. On the other side, Tianzi Kingdom. In the galaxy. When Zhou saw this, he also turned off his personal terminal. Then he first watched as Qi Xiantian and the others dealt with the other 5 Scarlet God Spirits of the Empire-level Scarlet Army in front of them. Then, he told them that he was preparing to return to the Blazing Sun Kingdom, and told them not to search for other targets for the time being, and to wait for his return. In fact, Zhou could also let them deal with the other 3 targets themselves. After all, the other 3 Scarlet God Spirits were not true God tiers. Qi Xiantian and the others were more than enough to deal with them themselves. However, Zhou always wanted to be safe. What if something unexpected happened? He could at least reduce his losses. The gods naturally obeyed. Seeing this, Zhou didn't waste any time. He piloted the galaxy and returned to the royal capital, Blazing Sun Kingdom, in front of Night Temple. As soon as Zhou arrived, he saw the Yellow Emperor, Patriarch Lu Zhen, and Ji Yin waiting for him at the door. Zhou was taken aback as he hurriedly ran over and bowed. Greetings, Senior Yellow Emperor, Senior Patriarch Lu, Uncle Ji. Haha, there's no need to be so polite. The Yellow Emperor smiled and nodded. Then he praised, your territory is not bad. Unfortunately, my main body is in the Xianyuan tomb, and I can't come out casually. Otherwise, I would definitely come to visit you a few more times. That's right. Its popularity is at its peak. Luck is boiling, and the hearts of the people are gathered. It's indeed a rare capital. No wonder you can make such a name for yourself among the myriad races. Patriarch Lu also praised. Seniors, you praise me too much. Zhou went straight to the point. Seniors, let's talk inside. The 4 gods nodded in understanding, and turned around to enter the Night Temple together. Greetings, Your Holiness. As soon as he entered, he saw the acting master of the Night Temple, Rob Allen, waiting respectfully at the door. When he saw that Zhou was also beside the Yellow Emperor and the other big shots, he couldn't hide the shock in his eyes. Get us a room with the best security. Ji Yin did not waste his breath, and said directly, Yes, Your Majesty. Rob Allen nodded and immediately led the way. Soon, the 6 of them arrived in front of a room. This is the highest meeting room. Teacher will only come in when he attends the meeting. Even the true God tier won't be able to see what's going on inside. Are the members of royalty satisfied? Rob Allen said carefully. Sure. Ji Yin nodded and followed behind the Yellow Emperor into the highest meeting room. Zhou was at the back. When he saw Rob Allen looking at him curiously, he shrugged and said nothing. Young man, this is not something you can come into contact with now. At the same time he understood. Only the few of them, and a few other higher-ups knew that he was in danger. The others were probably still clueless. In the highest meeting room, after Zhou and company sat down, the Yellow Emperor smiled and said, Little friend Blazing Sun, can you showcase to us your treasures? The others also looked expectant. Zhou nodded and did not say anything else. He took out 2 swords of New Dimension creation, and 2 Eternal Fallen Sticks divine armor, from his king's treasure box. As soon as the 4 true God tier divine artifacts appeared, a huge pressure, and the power of the divine artifacts' nomological laws rippled in all directions with the true God tier divine artifacts as the center. Fortunately, this room was specially made for true God tier existences, so the fluctuations of their true god-tier divine artifacts didn't spread. Otherwise, it would probably have already shocked all the races. Even so, the four god spirits present were also completely shocked. Even the usually calm and amiable Emperor Huang couldn't help but stand up as he stared fixedly at these four true god-tier divine artifacts. Four true god-tier divine artifacts, he said with some difficulty. Patriarch Lu was also at a loss. Lu Zhen and Ji Yun were completely dumbfounded. The scene in front of them really overturned their worldview. Chapter 8-10 Battling the Abyssal True God Tier 1. These four true god-tier divine artifacts, how did you come here? Patriarch Lu could not help but ask. Be careful with your words. When the Yellow Emperor heard this, he frowned and looked at Patriarch Lu quietly. It doesn't matter if you don't tell me. Patriarch Lu immediately realized that his words had violated a taboo, and immediately shut his mouth. How could he casually say such an important thing? Zhou smiled and did not say anything. In fact, this was not a big secret in his territory. After all, his spoils of war were extracted by his soldiers, using the high-level conqueror's blast furnace. However, because the loot extracted was directly a higher level of loot, most of the soldiers only felt that His Majesty was very lucky and could greatly increase the chances of obtaining more loot. However, they were not clear about the fact that the quality of the loots could +1. Only a few soldiers felt that there was something wrong with the grade of the spoils of war. However, because of their respect for Zhou, no one took the initiative to ask. In addition, Zhou had always asked them to keep this matter a secret. Therefore, due to their high loyalty, all the soldiers and subjects had never revealed this secret. This resulted in very few outsiders knowing that there was a problem with Zhou's drop rate. Actually, it didn't matter even if he knew. Zhou had been prepared for this since the first day. He came to the high continent after all. At most, he would deal with whatever came his way. However, if he could stall for time, it would naturally be better. When I received the batch of divine artifacts you traded with previously, someone said that your luck was so good that you could trip over a divine artifact buried underground when you went out. I didn't believe it at first. But now, I feel that what that person said is not even 1/10,000 of your luck. How long have you been in the high continent? You already have 4 true god-tier divine artifacts. In our human race, only Imperial Lord Pengu possesses a divine artifact suspected to be a true god-tier artifact. The Yellow Emperor smiled bitterly. A human who had just arrived in the high continent had actually obtained true god-tier divine artifacts that even true gods who had lived for tens of thousands of years, or even hundreds of thousands of years, could only dream of obtaining. If news of this spread, it would simply be shocking. These true god-tier divine artifacts aren't known to enemies or unfamiliar life forms, right? Patriarch Lu suddenly asked. Most of those who know are already dead. The rest won't hurt me. Zhou smiled faintly. The Dark Holy Dragon knew that he possessed true god-tier divine artifacts. However, he was already a master god-tier. Coupled with his close relationship with the dragon race, he had never mentioned anything about true god-tier divine artifacts. The Yellow Emperor and the others nodded. They naturally would not harm Zhou. Well, borrow these true god-tier divine artifacts for now. After we rescue Bai He, we will definitely return these 4 true god-tier divine artifacts to you. We can sign a contract, the Yellow Emperor said seriously. There's no need for a deed. I believe in you seniors. Zhou acknowledged. Zhou trusted and respected these people who had appeared in ancient Chinese myths and legends. The Yellow Emperor and Patriarch Lu looked at each other and smiled. After that, the Yellow Emperor didn't stand on ceremony. He and Patriarch Lu each received 2 true god-tier divine artifacts and wore them. With this divine sword and divine armor, even if it's a top-notch true god-tier expert, I still have the courage to fight him. Patriarch Lu laughed. The Yellow Emperor looked at the Eternal Fallen Stick's divine armor on his body, and the sword of New Dimension creation in his hand, and a smile appeared on his face. He and Patriarch Lu were both good swordsmen. Facing such a top-notch divine sword, he immediately felt like he could not bear to part with it. As for why Zhou had two identical pairs of true god-tier divine artifacts, they tacitly did not ask. Let's go. The longer we delay, the more danger Bai He will be in. The Yellow Emperor easy cast a breath concealment technique on the divine armor and divine sword. Although it couldn't completely conceal the aura of the true god-tier divine artifacts, it was fortunate that the true god-tier divine artifacts had the ability to conceal themselves. He didn't have to worry about the information of the true god-tier divine artifacts leaking out before he used it. After that, they did not waste any time, and directly used the Night Temple's spatial teleportation array to head to the abyss again. At the same time, Ji Yan also maintained a video call with Zhou, allowing him to see the real-time battle situation on the Yellow Emperor's side. Zhou was also very curious about true god-tier level battles, so he drove Galaxy in the direction of Qi Xiantian and the others while watching the live broadcast of the Yellow Emperor's battle. The 47th level of the abyss. In a dark place, the Yellow Emperor and Patriarch Lu each held a changed sword of Xian Yuan and looked coldly at the restriction barrier under their feet. This restriction barrier had already reached the true god-tier advanced grade. Patriarch Lu was a true elementary grade, and the Yellow Emperor was an intermediate true god-tier. Previously, even if they joined forces, they would not be able to break through the restriction barrier here. But it was different now. The two gods looked at each other and raised the sword of new dimension creation in their hands at the same time. Boom! Boom! Terrifying spatial fluctuations centered around the two true god-tier divine artifacts and spread to a radius of 1,000,000 kilometers. At that moment, Ji Yan and Lu Zhen, who were in a hidden interlayer of space, watched this scene in shock. Zhou, who was displayed on Ji Yan's personal terminal, could not hide his shock as he watched this scene. True god-tier divine artifacts. Only a true god-tier can unleash their full power. The power of the true god-tier divine artifacts I used previously when I temporarily advanced to the high-tier deity level is probably only 1/10, 000 of the power of the sword of new dimension creation. Zhou thought to himself. Chapter 811 Battling the Abyssal True God Tier 2. At the same time, the Yellow Emperor and Patriarch Lu jointly slashed out a space-time sword aura that directly slashed at the restriction barrier of the True God Tier advanced grade. The restrictive barrier that they were powerless to break before was now easily cut through by the two space-time sword aura like tofu. When the Yellow Emperor and Patriarch Lu saw this scene, they immediately revealed excited expressions. He had finally opened this broken turtle shell. At the same time, in the deepest part of the restrictive barrier, he saw a 30,000-kilometer tall God Emperor, wearing a gray-white God Emperor costume. His skin was pale, and his expression was cold. He was fighting a huge black spider that was more than 10,000 kilometers tall, and an undead emperor that was more than 10,000 kilometers tall. His entire body was made of white bones. They are the tyranny and despotic ruler of the Dark Crow, Asgrad, the Queen of Spiders Lorsi, and the Undying King Orcus. At this moment, they were all looking coldly at a figure in the deep canyon below. It was a person wearing dark black ferocious armor and riding a dark black dragon steed. His eyes were blood red, and he held a blood red spear. It was the King of Abyssal Knights, Bai He. At this moment, this human true god tier was waving his spear and releasing law skills, killing the undead creatures that were charging towards him. These undead creatures were all at the legendary tier level. Occasionally, there would be lesser gods, mid-tier deity levels, and even high-tier deity level death god spirits. All of them charged at Bai He without any regard for their own safety. They wanted to fight Bai He with their lives. However, Bai He was a low-level true god tier expert after all. Facing these legendary tier undead, he could casually swing his spear and kill a large number of them without even using law skills. He could even kill those death-type god spirits with one shot. But even so, Bai He's expression remained unchanged. In fact, there was a grave expression on his face. Because he had seen it, the death god spirits that he had just killed charged over from afar again after a while, as if they had never died. Strands of invisible purple spider silk also floated in the air around Bai He, silently obstructing or even assassinating him. Even though Bai He could destroy a large portion of the spider silk with a casual shot, more spider silk would approach in a short while, wanting to harm Bai He again. Bai He was also helpless in this situation, so he could only carefully guard against the attacks and obstructions of these spider silks. Rose Orcus, your methods are not bad. From the looks of it won't be long before this human true god tier dies under your methods. Asgrad spoke. I can't compare to His Majesty's methods. If it wasn't for His Majesty's restriction that suppressed this human true god tier's combat strength to only 80%, how could we have been so relaxed? You two know your stuff. Asgrad laughed. He had only obtained this true god tier restriction by chance after entering a true god tier mystic realm. The effect of this restrictive barrier was very simple after it was built. The first was defense. This true god tier barrier could only be broken by peak true god tier existences. The second ability was to weaken the enemy's combat power by absorbing divine power. This true god tier restriction barrier could silently absorb the divine power in the bodies of enemies below the true god level to maintain the operation of the restriction barrier. At the same time, during the process of absorbing divine power, the strength of the god that was absorbed would also decrease by about 20%. These were the two strongest abilities of this true god tier restriction barrier. He also had other small abilities, such as spatial transference, forming a world of his own, and so on. However, in terms of practicality, it was far inferior to these two main abilities. After all, to true gods, spatial transference and the creation of temporary small worlds were simply the most normal abilities of true god tier existences. To be able to let us three top-notch true god tiers deal with Bai He isn't an insult to the honorable title of the King of Abyssal Knights. However, from today onwards, there will no longer be any King of Abyssal Knights in this world. He'll use his corpse to exchange for benefits from those high-level bloodline races. That human King of the Blazing Sun has long been hated by those top races, because he's ahead of many top lords of the 10,000 races on the Supreme Will's ranking. Because of the Supreme Agreement, they don't dare to attack the King of the Blazing Sun. However, it's still possible for us to deal with the higher-ups of the human race and use their corpses to exchange for benefits from those top races and civilizations. From there, we can indirectly reduce the future potential of the King of the Blazing Sun. Asgrad said coldly. Speaking of which, I remember that there are still a few true god tiers alive in the human race. In that case, can we find another opportunity in the future to trick those true god tiers over? Orcus spoke in a hoarse, low voice, but with great interest. When the spider goddess heard this, she hurriedly said, the strongest true god tier of the human race, Pengu, is hidden in the heavenly barbarian empire. Pengu has the potential to advance to the master god tier a long time ago. If we really want to offend the human race, it's best to get rid of Pengu first. Otherwise, even if we destroy the human race, as long as Pengu doesn't die, we won't be able to eat or sleep in peace. I know. Coincidentally, 2 human true god tiers came outside my restrictive barrier just now. They should be the companions of this human true god tier. After killing Bai He, well, let those 2 true god tier humans in. When the time comes, well, deal with them all and send their corpses to those top-notch races and civilizations to exchange for benefits. Asgrad said slowly. Just as he said that, his expression suddenly changed. What is it, Your Majesty? Lorsi and Orcus, who had been secretly watching this god emperor, immediately said. An unknown existence has broken through my true god tier barrier and is rushing towards us. Asgrad said with an ugly expression. He had just bragged to his 2 lackeys about how powerful his true god tier advanced grade restriction barrier was. He did not expect to be slapped in the face the moment he turned around. The barrier has been broken? The Queen of Spiders, Lorsi, and the Undead King, Orcus, were shocked. They immediately asked, has Master God tier descended? I don't think so. I didn't sense the aura of a Master God tier from those 2 unknown existences. Instead, I feel that, The people who came seemed to be humans. If I'm not wrong, it should be the human god spirit that was isolated outside my true god tier restriction barrier. What a joke. An elementary grade true god tier and an intermediate true god tier actually dared to find trouble with us? Human race. Has the human race mastered a special method to break the restrictive barrier? The two gods were puzzled. I don't know, but that doesn't matter anymore. Let's go and capture those two human true god tiers first. At that time, we'll sell them to those high-level bloodline races together. Asgrad said indifferently. At this moment, before they made a move, the three deities suddenly realized that a galaxy tore through space and appeared directly above their heads. Then, the Yellow Emperor and Patriarch Lu flew out of the galaxy and looked coldly at the three gods below. The powerful divine power on them did not give the two of them any pressure. This was because during the sword test just now, they had already confirmed that his strength had already reached the level of being invincible without a master god tier. There was no choice. The two true god tier divine artifacts were simply too powerful for them. At this moment, Patriarch Lu looked at the three true god tiers below in White River, who was almost exhausted from the torture below. A crazy thought suddenly arose in his heart. That was to kill these three true god tiers. Only by killing these three true god tiers would their possession of the true god tier divine artifacts be kept a secret. He immediately secretly conveyed his thoughts to the Yellow Emperor. The Yellow Emperor looked deeply at him, before slowly nodding. Then, he waved his right hand and repaired the true god tier barrier. What are you humans doing? Upon seeing this scene, Asgrad was alarmed as he had a bad feeling. But before he could react, he saw the Yellow Emperor and White River suddenly fly towards him. At the same time, the sword of New Dimension creation in his hand and the Eternal Fallen Stick's divine armor on his body suddenly lit up with an extremely strong light under the supply of dermic powers from a true god tier god spirit. At the same time, the Yellow Emperor created a small spatial teleportation channel and placed the Undying God Scroll inside the small spatial teleportation channel before retreating inside. At the same time, a small spatial teleportation channel and a voice suddenly appeared in front of White River, who was fighting endless undead creatures. Use this scroll. Then, we'll deal with these three abyssal true god tiers together and avenge you. He was stunned. Then, he looked at the Undying God Scroll's specific effect and used it without hesitation. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.